Stand by. 5 seconds.
Do it at half time.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Social. Today we have a very special guest for you, a Chelsea legend. It's Chelsea Rory over there. Not really, it's Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, 120 Premier League goals. How are you, sir?
I'm very
Thank
good.
you very much for joining us.
Thank you for
Confident
having
today regarding Bournemouth-Chelsea, our feature match?
I would think so, even though the result last year was not that great, but I think they should be able to do it this time around.
Terrible memories of Bournemouth. The corresponding fixture 3-0 to Bournemouth, of course. But joining us over there to guide us through the rest of the games, it's Dave Jackson, it's Patrick Van Straten, and it's Chelsea Rory. How are you feeling about today's feature game, sir?
I'm feeling incredible. He's revolutionised the way we play football, and I'm feeling really positive about it. And if we can get a win today, that'll be 4 out of 4 going into the international breaks. That's what I was dreaming of when the fixtures were announced. So, yeah, feeling good.
I think that'll be your best ever start to a Premier League season if it goes 4 out of 4.
Yeah, I think it
so,
would be.
Fingers crossed. Who could potentially end that run, Van Straten? Who's looking dangerous in Bournemouth starting XI, which we'll go over in a minute?
I think that the left wing is a little bit dodgy for Chelsea. I think Marcos Alonso gets a lot of credit because of his attacking output, but defensively, he's kind of suspect for me, his positioning. He's not a natural left-back, he's a left wing-back. And so I think that if Ryan Fraser can get into that space behind him, that will be a problem. Ryan Fraser's a decent little player. He was a real problem for them last season. And I still maintain that I think Emerson will probably take that left-back spot over the course of the season. I just don't know when exactly it will happen.
You've been saying that for a long time, haven't you? Much more
of a natural
well-rounded defender, maybe, Emerson, of course, after joining Roma. And guiding us through the rest of the games and social. Who said men can't multitask? It's Dave Jackson, everyone.
I'm watching 4 games and I'm on the socials, so I've got quite a hectic afternoon in front of me.
I just get to kick back with Jimmy. Perfect.
It's quality, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm watching Brighton versus Fulham, Palace versus Southampton, Everton Huddersfield, and Wolves versus West Ham. I actually fancy Bournemouth to get something against Chelsea, by the way.
Which game out of those do you actually want to watch? Will you be focusing on?
I'll be probably focusing on Jack Wilshere at West Ham. I really hope he actually starts to kick on a bit now.
Still got a soft spot for him, haven't you? Let's go through the kickoffs. Kickoffs? Let's go through the starting lineups, even. Starting with Chelsea, right. So we've got Kepa in goal, no surprises there. Azpilicueta right back. Rudiger, Luiz and Alonso make up the rest of the back 4. Kante, Jorginho and Kovacic. That is a mean-looking midfield 3. Willian, Morata and Hazard. Hazard, of course, coming in after being eased back into the side post-World Cup. Is he going to be their danger man? Do you see him putting Bournemouth to the sword today, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink?
Well, the way that Hazard is at the moment in the state of mind is that he has got something to prove. In the season straight away after that. He came back last week, first start, saying that he was 200% fit. We all know that he's not yet, but his state of mind is saying that he's ready, you know? And look, he's the best player of Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he's the one that has to carry Chelsea, you know? And I think he can, and I think he has got the ability. I think he is somebody who wants to kick on his career, and he needs to now show that he can make them champion again.
Talking of players who have something to prove, I guess. Morata, were you surprised that Chelsea let Batshuayi go out on loan, Tammy Abraham go to Villa? Because Morata, not exactly reliable over the, I suppose, the second half of the season, and Chelsea haven't looked to strengthen in that area. They have Giroud, of course, who's more than an able deputy. But does he need to step it up at the start of this season? Got his goal already, so is off to a decent start, I guess. But what are your thoughts on him as a 20-goal striker in the Premier League?
I'm not surprised they're letting Batshuayi go. Abraham needs games. He needs games, and he's not going to get that many games at Chelsea. So I do, in a way, understand it, even though I would have liked to see him stay and get a little bit more the Chelsea way. Morata has got a really important season ahead. The only problem is the way that Chelsea is playing at the moment. Will that suit Morata? Morata needs the space behind the defence. Chelsea is now, they have changed their style. what I love, what I think is great, but it needs more a striker that can play with his back to the goal. Because during the season, they're not going to have a lot of games where the opposition is going to attack them. Opposition is going to sit deep. So you're not going to have a lot of space around. And Morata's first touch is not always been the best.
OK, the point well made. Chelsea, Rory, let's move on to Bournemouth starting XI. Who do you think is going to cause you problems in this team? King and Wilson, right?
Yeah, I think it's all about Wilson, isn't it? I just think he's got that kind of natural movement, and I could actually see him causing us problems because, as much as I think Sarri has done an incredible job, I think he's come in, he's really done it brilliantly in imposing his new ethos onto this Chelsea side. Where we're
happened quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Quicker than you imagined?
He came in, far quicker than I imagined. You know, prior to the season kicking off, I would have said anything that's a top 4 finish, like top 4 is a win, and obviously that is still the case. But I'm starting to dream a bit more now because I think the way that Sarri's got us playing, it's been beautiful, and he's only been there, a couple of months. So I am starting to be a bit optimistic. But if I were to pick flaws with this team, I think the flaws in our side could suit Bournemouth perfectly because David Luiz, Rudiger, Marcos Alonso, as you pointed out, has his detractors. I'm not one of them, by the way. I find it very offensive when anyone says anything bad about
I'll be looking to offend you as much as possible over the course of the next 2 hours.
But equally, Cesar Azpilicueta, who's been Mr. Reliable for us, an incredible talent, and like one of the best bargains we've ever had. We got him from Marseille really cheap, and he's been brilliant ever since. But it's looked a bit shaky at the back, and I think that this Bournemouth side and Eddie Howe's brilliance and guidance will be looking at it thinking that they can exploit it.
Yeah, potentially. They're playing a 3-4-3 today, of course.
Aggressive, isn't it?
A formation you were very familiar with.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. Jefferson Lerma in central midfield, spent big on him. Pato, do you know much about him? Do you think he's going to make a positive impact?
I'm not wild about Lerma. He comes from Levante. He's a Colombian midfielder, and he's a defensive midfielder. His output was OK last season. I think it was about 4 tackles and interceptions a game. That's all right, but they spent a lot of money on him. They spent 25 million euros, which for Bournemouth is really a lot. And I think that given the defensive midfield options available in the market, it was a strange one for me. You look at Fulham, they got Anguissa from Marseille for about 22. You look at Brighton, they got Bissouma from Lille for about 18. And Lerma's much more limited than those guys. He doesn't have particularly great passing range, and he's not going to dribble out of pressure. So, I don't know, for me that's not an amazing signing. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Lewis Cook to do ball progression. But Lewis Cook, to me, is actually one of the more underrated players in the Premier League. Very good dribbler, very good vertical passer.
You've been touting him for Spurs for a little while now.
Well, he was linked with Spurs this summer, and I thought that it actually wasn't a bad shout. He's always had good defensive output. He's very young, so he's got plenty of time to progress. I think he's 21 still. And, yeah, to have that skill set where he is press-resistant, he is a decent passer, he can defend, he can cover a lot of ground, I do think that that's quite an interesting match for Pochettino's setup. But Lewis Cook will definitely get a move to a bigger club. The only question is when. But fortunately, he's got 2 or 3 years to make that happen.
Yeah, I think he could be a really, really good player. Dave, thoughts on today's feature game as well as the rest of them?
Yeah, I actually fancy Bournemouth to get something. I feel Chelsea might actually come unstuck. But I've got my first question from Social Corner.
Let's do it.
Are you ready for it? I guess this is for Jimmy and Rory. It's from Football Skills 21, great name, by the way, just on YouTube. It says, how do you think Chelsea will do in the Europa League?
Seminal moment, by the way. Dave delivering his first question, question, on Football Daily, full stop.
I feel like I need a horn or something every time I have a question.
You appreciate this, Jimmy. How do you think they'll do in the Europa League then, lads?
I think it would be an important competition for them.
Seems on screen now.
Especially for the players that are not playing in the Premiership regularly. So it would be, especially in the beginning, giving them the opportunity to get match fit and to get more confidence. And then if they get further, I would think that they would put in their big players, But it is a very important competition, I think.
These are quality minutes, aren't they, for people like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, for those peripheral figures. I'm looking forward to it as a Celtic fan. Is this a blessing or a curse, the Europa League, for Chelsea?
Mate, that question is... I just cannot...
The second time I've disrespected you on the show.
Second time. We've been going for 5 minutes. I find it very difficult to empathise with anyone who has a sneery attitude to any trophy. You know when people look down their nose at a trophy, oh, it's only the Carling Cup or it's only the Europa League? I don't get it at all. I remember when I was a kid in '98, Chelsea won. We beat Stuttgart in Stockholm. Gianfranco Zola scored. And I remember being a kid going mad. My dad went out there in like 2013, we went to Amsterdam, we beat Benfica. Winning that trophy was incredible, and I hope that we go all the way. And I've already booked my trip to Greece. I'm going to the Salonika game. Really excited.
Love that. The guys are in the tunnel now. That was just on screen. That's Chelsea and Bournemouth lining up. Kick-off imminent. Should we get a few score predictions in, guys?
What, for the main game?
Why not,
for the
Chris?
feature game.
Come on.
Thank you very much.
It's what Smithy would do.
RIP. Anyway, what do you think, Van Strauss?
For this game, Chelsea-Bournemouth, 3-1. Why not?
Well, our mates over at Sky Bet have Bournemouth to win 2-1 at 33-1. Given what happened last season, worth a flutter?
Definitely worth a fiver, that is.
They haven't been...
in the words of Dave Jackson.
They haven't been impeccable defensively so far, Chelsea. They're still getting up to speed, aren't they? Pretty ropey against Arsenal. And the Newcastle game, Newcastle didn't create a lot, but anything could have happened in that match. I don't know, 2 goals for Bournemouth.
Do you know what, though? I took a lot of pride in that one because things had gone so badly. Like, we dominated the game. They got back into it. You're away from home. It feels like it's all going a little bit wrong. And we had the grit and determination to still get the 3 points. I think that's a great sign.
But also, normally, Chelsea doesn't go to Newcastle and win.
Yeah,
it's majority of time is such a difficult place.
Well, away against Benitez as well is rough.
Maybe once or maybe once, but it is such a difficult place to go.
Yeah.
And for them to do that, it might be a very good season.
And they last season as well.
It's going to come down to who's playing right wing. Like, it's Willian today, but in that game, what you saw, because Azpilicueta isn't a natural kind of attacking right back, and Marcos Alonso is a little bit slower, they need that person playing on the right-hand side in that Callejon role to stay out there and give some width. And Pedro kept wanting to tuck in, and then at one stage, he actually pulled out, kept the width outside the fullback, and immediately a big chance came from Morata. So
I actually think Newcastle got a bit of unfair stick that game for the tactics they adopted, but we're going to move around the grounds now. Where else are you taking as people in the gallery? West Ham, forever blowing bubbles. There they are, classic. I actually think this is going to be one of the better fixtures of the day. Wolves, very impressive, particularly away from home at the start of the season, deserve much more out of that game against Leicester at the King Power. Dave Jackson, what do you make of their chances? What do you make of this game? You'll be watching this while I'm coming over to you, big man.
Thank you very much. I think West Ham will win this quite comfortably.
On Arnautovic at it.
I feel like they should have got something against us last week. Like we were very poor, and West Ham in patches were actually very good, but they didn't. But obviously they didn't take their chances. I think they'll get their first win under the belt today.
Okay.
West Ham to beat Wolves.
Cool. I think we are. Are we still at West Ham? Oh, we're going to Crystal Palace, guys. Live footage from Palace. Now, I've never been down to Selhurst Park. How's the atmosphere? Any of you guys sampled it? Because I've heard it's quite
It's good.
intense.
It's boisterous, I've heard.
Beautiful old
experience.
It's a beautiful old ground. I have so much time for those. Like, give me a Selhurst Park or a Loftus Road over St Mary's or Rico or whatever. I like those old style grounds. I think that they have a lot of history and a lot of ambience and atmosphere. And yeah, it's lively. It's a good away day. It's very inconvenient for me personally. I don't know if you care about that. But I think I can get to Villa Park easier than I can get to Selhurst Park.
You enjoyed a lot of success playing London clubs. I think you scored, a bunch against Tottenham, against Arsenal.
Oh, mate, you've got to talk about that.
What was your favourite ground playing in the capital? Playing in the capital, I should say.
In the capital, I think the old Arsenal ground.
yeah,
I loved that ground because of how the pitch just was, and it was always so.
It's like a carpet.
It was just amazing. Didn't do really great there, but the atmosphere was amazing.
What about Goodison Park?
I love.
Have a good time there?
That is my favourite stadium in England.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Just because of the atmosphere and the hostileness when you play this,
It's quite like close
the
within the
feeling
fans
and
Did that gauge a better performance from you?
For me, yeah. It fires you up, doesn't it? It fires you
Against
up.
the wall stuff. Right, we have just kicked off in our feature game, lads. So this is where our focus is going to be. Like I said, Pato and Dave taking care of the rest of the games. Chelsea Rory. Nathan Ake on the ball. Well, not on the ball there, sorry, but in the Bournemouth side.
Yeah.
You have the right to buy him back. He's someone that impresses me consistently for Bournemouth.
Look,
Thoughts on him?
I agree. I think he's a very good player. And I think that you could make quite a valid case for him playing left-back ahead of Marcus Alonso. I wouldn't agree with that because of how much I love Marcus Alonso. But I think that you could make that case. And I just think he's very unlucky with his time at Chelsea. I think it's circumstance.
I didn't understand that transfer.
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
15 million.
No,
Wasn't exactly lucrative either.
Forget about the amount. Forget about the amount.
Done.
Because last year they were playing 3 at the back.
Yes.
And they didn't have a left-footed centre half.
Yeah.
And he could play left centre half in a 3, and he could also play left wing back.
Yeah.
You know, so and he was good. He did well. So I didn't understand that move at all.
And never mind that back 3. You were telling me you're not overly convinced about this back 4, and that's what might cost Chelsea Champions League football this season. So why is that?
No, look, Alonso worries me a little bit defensively, but he brings so much going forward, and that's why he's playing. He is so important to Chelsea. The creativity going forward, you know, the runs, the popping up with the goals, the popping up with the passes, but defensively in the transition. He's not really defence-minded, and also with Luis. Luis is a beautiful footballer, isn't he? You know, a lovely passer. If you keep the ball 90 minutes of the game,
Bournemouth are in here.
It is. If you keep the ball 90 minutes of the game, then it's not a problem. But we all know that never happens. There will be moments that you have to defend.
I mean, this ties in
now
perfectly with what you're saying.
Where's
So
Marcus Alonso? No idea.
Alonso's missing. Louise, little failed pass there into the central of midfield. But Ryan Fraser could get this left-hand side right.
Yeah.
Bournemouth is going to be dangerous in this match because they are pressing and they have got lots of energy. And every ball that they win in the opposition's half, they're straight away going to pass forward.
Yeah.
And it's straight away a counter-attack. And Chelsea's open. So that's going to be the danger for Chelsea today.
I think that's how people are going to try and play against Chelsea as well. They're going to look at it and think the best way to play against Chelsea is to attack them because our most vulnerable part of the pitch is the back line.
Yeah.
So I think that everybody's going to come into a game against Chelsea and think, right, let's get them on the back, get them facing their own goal.
This is the disadvantage, right, of having such regular managerial turnover, which is that you build a squad for a certain type of manager, a certain kind of system, then somebody else comes in. So at the moment, your defensive talent is arguably better suited for a back 3 than a back 4.
There is where English clubs go wrong.
Yeah. Lack of foresight, yeah?
No,
Continuity. What, because a director of football?
No. English clubs, they don't have really an identity.
Sure.
You know, Southampton has, Bournemouth has now, Swansea has. You know how they're going to play.
Yeah.
And
they find. Takes over.
Sorry.
Until Mark Hughes takes over.
No, but they find then a manager that fits with them.
Yeah.
You understand?
Instead and you recruit for that system. The way you want to play. Yeah.
But what happens? The manager comes and he wants to change everything, and all them players need to go, and then he gets sacked. And then another manager comes with a totally different idea, and those players who were there now need to go. And you know, so you have all the time.
The most emphatic example of that is probably your countryman, De Boer at Crystal Palace last season. Came into a very pragmatic side. Wasn't necessarily backed in terms of squad turnover. Signed a couple of players, didn't he?
Yeah.
And whilst he had a very good time of it at Ajax, just fizzled out very quickly.
He has his beliefs how the game has to be played.
Yeah.
But he came after Sam Allardyce.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
before that.
Exactly.
You know, and
there's no coming back from that.
there's no right or wrong, because Sam Allardyce gets his results his way. That's how he sees football. But then when Sam Allardyce went, they should have found somebody with more or less the same kind of characteristics.
Or if you're going to try and change the remit entirely, you can't give someone 6 games.
Yeah. If you're going to try
but was the change not
Too
way
extreme.
too big, too extreme.
Right, yeah. I suppose do it gradually, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think then that managers have too much power overall in the UK?
No, I don't think that managers have got enough power.
Ooh. Interesting. Okay.
Because you can turn it the other way.
Okay.
Because they get sacked.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
but I mean, from the point of view of like they come in and they say, well, I want to have control over transfers,
That's a
I want to
fantastic
run
goal.
recruitment.
Yeah, but they get control and they know that they have to change because that's their style.
Yeah.
But they don't get the time to get it.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I mean, this is the thing at Chelsea, right? Chelsea fans constantly say, oh, well, why do our young players not get a chance in the first team? Well, when a manager knows they can be sacked for one bad season, why would they blood youngsters? They're going to play experienced guys.
Yeah.
Because they have then more chance of winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you see that incident that we just had there? David Luiz chipped a fantastic ball through. That little incident there is a microcosm of why David Luiz is so valuable to this team. Lots of Chelsea fans will say, oh, Christensen should be playing, David Luiz is too error-prone, you look at what happened last week against Newcastle. But what he did there, David Luiz can play. He's he's a centre-half who plays two positions. He does what John Terry used to do for Chelsea, which is defend resolutely 90% of the time. But then he can also bring the ball forward and do the Cesc Fabregas role. Start our attacks, play the ball out.
He's also a much more complete player after
So
coming
good.
back from PSG, right? I think people still think of him.
Mate, the
in
year
the
that we
same
won the league
sense.
with Conte, he was incredible.
I think he's a back three centre-back to me. when he
Yes,
first
I think
arrived.
so as
yeah.
well. But I think you should not compare him with John Terry.
No, just in terms of...
Because
We did Jimmy's dream five-a-side team earlier. Who was it, Jim? Edwin van der Sar, John Terry.
Davids and
Goodjohnson.
But the thing is, John Terry, he could play a pass.
Yeah,
He
that
could play a
left-footed
pass.
ball over to Ashley Cole
But
was
he
incredible,
he was always ready to defend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think that Luis is.
Yeah, I know what you mean, he switches off.
You
Can
know?
I ask you a question? Is this true? Did you used to speak in Dutch to Ider Johnson when
Yeah.
you played up front?
Yeah.
I didn't believe my mate. He told me that. I thought he was
Yeah.
lying to me.
No,
Seemed to be-
Because
Well,
he
Johnson
used
went
to
for PSV, right?
Yes.
Right.
And
And
that was those were in the days when it went. Their striker depth was Luke Nillis, Ronaldo, and then Ider Goodjohnson when Ider Goodjohnson was a teenager. Amazing team.
Wow.
Ronaldo talking about his partnership with Nillis, saying he just helped him so much at the start of his career.
Really?
Ronaldo said Luke Nillis
Niels
was
was
the
a
best
player,
player.
right?
Really
He was a
interesting,
player.
yeah.
You remember when he was at Villa, he broke his leg?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was
I do remember,
horrific.
Was a player.
Talking of horrific, Dave Jackson.
There is
Does anything happen in these games because they look quite flat?
Absolutely nothing. Both, all 8 teams have basically just started, and there's been no action whatsoever. There was a yellow card for a Huddersfield player after a bit of a rogue challenge on an Everton player, but that's literally it. There is nothing.
Can you give us an update on Nuno Espirito Santo's beard?
I was
It's still-
literally just
it's
going to ask you,
unbelievable.
is he your beard idol?
It's gorgeous.
Your beard
He looks like sort of Santa's handsome cousin from Portugal.
But I do have a great question from, his name is Devones on the old YouTube, and he said, what was Jimmy's favourite goal for Chelsea?
Oh, you can't ask me that.
Do you know, I watched all 84 of them in the league this morning, lying in bed, and you must have scored 6 goals from inside the box, and the rest were absolute humdingers.
I could answer this. Brilliant.
2 headers in there, and the rest were from 35 yards.
No, there are a few more headers than that. Come on.
Fraud.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult question.
I've been dreaming to
What,
ask
the
you this.
Man
It's got
United
to
one?
be... No, the Man United is obviously the contender, but the best thing that I could... Like, it's one of my favourite things that's ever happened to me as a Chelsea fan. We had a bad day against Tottenham, and then we battered them 4-0 twice in a week. And that hat-trick... most perfect hat-trick. If anyone hasn't seen this hat-trick, they have to go onto YouTube and Google. It's incredible. It's the most perfect hat-trick you will ever see against Tottenham.
Was it left foot, right foot header?
4-0 twice in 3
Because
days.
he never scored headers.
Left foot, right foot.
One of the
Left foot, right
headers.
foot header.
One of the headers.
50% of the headers.
It was so good. It was incredible.
I can't give you an answer. Which goal?
No?
No.
All right,
I watched them all this morning. What about the first one in the Champions League? Was against Viking. Weirdly enough, I can remember that because that was shortly after I bought my first Chelsea shirt, and I think it was the first time Chelsea it was a qualifier, right, for the Champions League, and I think you ended up losing to them, and I was devastated.
Away.
So I remember being in the playground thinking, I've picked the wrong side here. I've pumped on the wrong London-based side. But let's go for another question, Damo.
Another question. It's one about Loftus-Cheek. So he's been called up to England squad. Yeah, Ross Barkley hasn't, but Seri seems to. But yeah, he basically seems to prefer Barkley. So you know who's right, who's like wrong there. Should Loftus-Cheek be in the squad? Should Ross Barkley be in the England squad? That's basically the question.
Opening the floor to you, Jim. Ross Barkley.
I am a big lover of Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing, and I think he will play more games than Barkley.
Interestingly, he seemed to challenge Ruben Loftus-Cheek yesterday. He said he needs to get better in the system.
But why I'm saying that is because Barkley started the pre-season from day one. Loftus-Cheek came later, so he was already ahead physically, and obviously in the system. Yes, he is a raw diamond, you know. But I think I just like him. He's just got everything. He's got the power. He's got the technique. He scores goals. How he played last year for Crystal Palace was amazing. Yeah. But then he had a manager who believed in him, you know, and he needs to make Sarri believe in him.
I don't even think the biggest obstacle to the first team is for Loftus-Cheek is someone like Barkley. It's the arrival of Kovacic last minute, right? Because he completes that midfield three. He makes up for Jorginho's defensive deficiencies because, I mean, against Arsenal, a lot of those chances came from the area where traditionally Jorginho operates, right? Just outside the 18-yard box. And for all his glorious like, qualities, he isn't the most defensive-minded, so that's where Kovacic, you know, he comes in, shores things up. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, not necessarily that player. PVS and Rory, would he have to kind of convert him into a right or left winger, much like he was at Palace? He played on the left, didn't he?
No, I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek will become like a fantastic central midfielder.
Central midfielder,
that's what he will do. Yeah,
what, in the three, yeah?
He will boss games in it.
He's very versatile. Eh?
Yeah,
he can play on the right wing. He can play on the left wing. He can play in a 4-4-2 on the left or right. He can play in the middle.
Yeah. Well, Mourinho actually thought that he could play like number 10, sort of even really thinking playing him up front. Yeah. So I mean,
sort of second striker.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he really is fantastically gifted and could do almost anything that you ask of him on a football pitch. But I do think that all of the qualities that he possesses, I think that central midfield will be his position. I think he will grab games by the scruff of the neck and drag Chelsea to victories that they don't deserve. He'll be that sort of midfielder.
When, Rory?
Soon. It's very soon. It's going to happen. But
he needs to just keep on digging. He needs to keep on digging. He needs to keep on knocking on that door, keep on working hard, keep on doing the right thing and keep on making himself notice. And when he gets the chance of playing, he needs to make the difference.
It will happen because if Chelsea's season goes as we hope it will this season, we'll play about 60 games. He's going to get the opportunities. It's just when those opportunities come, he really does need to...
And Kovacic is going to go back to Real Madrid.
Yes.
Almost certainly.
No, it's offside.
Oh, Morata. Good spot there.
They have nobody...
to the back of the net.
They have got nobody like him with that kind of physicality.
OK.
Nobody.
That's a good point. Got some good news for us, guys. Do you want to announce it or shall I, Dave?
Nah, you can.
Son, he's won gold at the Asian Games. He doesn't have to do military service. He can return to Tottenham and continue to terrorise your teams.
That's a shame.
Couldn't care less, mate.
Not mine.
I'd love him to have to do his military service.
From Van Strait, he genuinely... That's not an act.
Dodger.
Yeah. He couldn't care less. the Donald Trump of South Korea. Anyway, not how I expected that to go.
But I do like some.
Van Strait, same question about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, about Ross Barkley, about where he'll play in that Chelsea setup. What do you think to the player? Is he that close to the team? Because Sarri keeps a pretty rigid starting 11, doesn't he?
He does, but he's an injury away, or Kovacic leaving at the end of the year. He's got to make sure that he's there. And like Jimmy says, he is very versatile. He played as a 6 at youth level as well. I mean, like, he's an intelligent player, and I think that overall is what will help him out. He'll be able to play a bunch of different roles. And when he does push forward, the rare thing about Loftus-Cheek is that he's got very good feet, but he's also just a physical mismatch for a lot of the defenders he's going to come up against. He's absolutely huge,
got
and
that
he's surprisingly fast,
hasn't he?
Well, he
just can't get round him.
Well, last season he was one of the leading dribblers in the Premier League, completing more than 3 a game. And when you think that he was playing off the
You see
left,
it
or
as
as a
Lewis.
10.
I know.
You
Here we go, big Dave's put them in.
Oh, he's got a...
Oh,
Go on,
man,
Ryan.
you need to tackle.
Running.
I thought Ryan was running a lot faster then. It's just his little
good.
legs, wasn't it? They were going like the clappers.
I think
he
it's
has
unfortunate
little
that
legs
he was
as
up
well.
against Kante there.
Yeah.
Anyone else he makes.
That's extremely true.
But yeah, that's exactly the point you were making about David Luiz, isn't it?
And it's been pretty prominent, Bournemouth have anyway. They're attacking force down this right-hand side. Look at that space that he's running into. Where is Alonso? Has Alonso come across there to make up for Luiz? Or is he still at the pitch?
You've done it again, you horror. That was nothing to do with
Alonso.
Marcus Alonso. That was all David Luiz.
Well, I'm just poking the bear.
was
Right,
it?
just both of you.
Was he tracking back?
He couldn't, he's very slow.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like that...
That's an effort there. Who was that?
This is going to be 3-0.
boy Dan Gosling.
3-0. Oh, my boy.
Yeah. I used to sign him from Plymouth Argyle and Football
Couldn't pick him
Manager
out of
all
the
the
crowd.
time. Bargain.
Never seen him before in my life. Made up. Ryan Gosling. He's a great player. I always try and work out whether Ryan Fraser or Xherdan Shaqiri looks more like a weightlifter. Because they're both like stocky little men.
Dave, let's put a poll out on that.
Yeah,
that's
put a poll out on
prime
that.
social content.
And also,
mate.
who's
Who
got
looks
better
more
hair,
like a
Chris
stocky-
Hamill or Smithy?
Come
Oh,
on.
that's a great
The
question.
human
Do we
rhino.
even need to put
I
that
think
poll out?
Hamill's won that.
The human rhino or the junior human rhino?
Come on. Smithy needs to stop using. He needs to stop using Brill cream. Where is it?
Yeah, but can you headbutt a hole in a wall? Because
That is-
Smithy definitely can.
Who's Smithy? Who's Smithy?
He
Great
helps us
question,
present
Jimmy.
this show. Hello, Chelsea are in
Great
here.
question.
Thank
that's a great
goodness
tackle.
Chelsea peeled away there. Just moves on from that.
It's not a corner.
Smooth little segue
The
out.
referee was running in a totally different direction there, which I
He was so
consider-
late, wasn't he, the referee?
The referee's making a great run
running
into
in
the
the
into
right
the half
direction,
space.
Yeah.
He's out there to stop the counter attack.
Referee's operating in the half space. He's a Pep Guardiola purist, enthusiast. So was that Kovacic person?
Kovacic, yeah.
It's very impressionistic what we're seeing right now.
He has that.
Yeah.
By the way, there's still nothing that's
Box to
happened
box
in my
quality.
days.
No
That
goals,
maybe,
no?
Nothing has happened.
What's going on in Fulham Brighton, Dave? Because I've watched about 5 seconds of it, and it looks
It's all
mental.
all of the play is in like midfield. Nobody's getting into anyone's like the final thirds. It's just it's
Attritional, is it, Dave?
Yeah.
There are 20 blokes running into each other in the centre circle. It's like Zorb football.
Yeah, it's a little bit like playground football at the moment. But I do have a question.
Shoot.
It's from Henry Spencer. He said, "Does Eddie Howe deserve a managerial position at a bigger club?" For me, no. To be honest,
Yeah,
Let's go over to
Why not?
the football manager.
because
Oh, God.
okay, so Arsenal lost Arsene Wenger. Would I have wanted him to come into my club? No, I don't think he's of that quality.
Interesting.
He can't coach a defence,
Do you know what? I read this
but
morning.
his recruitment's an issue.
He actually went to study Sarri at Empoli, and they have since started a bit of a relationship with one another. They're pen pals. A friendship, not a relationship. Breaking. No.
Are you talking to... Are you joking? Or are you...
No, Empoli. So he went to watch him at Empoli. They started a little friendship since, and Sarri has actually said this week that he thinks Eddie Howe will make a big impression on British football.
Don't worry, I don't think he's a bad manager.
But he's just
in
not
the
there
status.
yet, in your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much longer does he need to manage for it?
Well, I think
What else does he need to
I think
do?
he has to win something. Maybe
That's a bit much.
With Bournemouth?
that's what I'm saying. So maybe he has to go. Maybe to like
Stepping stone in between.
To go to another
Like a
club.
Southampton or something.
or
Everton or something, yeah.
Maybe not even in like the Premier League. Maybe like even go up to like Scotland
Empoli.
potentially or something like that, and actually win a trophy, win potentially like a league somewhere, and then he can come back to a top 6 club in the Premier League potentially.
Okay. What do you make of that?
I think
Do
he's...
you think we're being harsh?
I think so, yeah. I think Arsenal needs somebody like that.
What, as opposed to Unai Emery?
No,
You're not a fan of Emery?
I am.
Okay.
But I think they are more or less the same. Only Emery is a little bit further ahead.
A little bit further. I mean, the guy's won, 3 European trophies, a domestic title, admittedly with PSG, which is
but
like one with Celtic, pretty meaningless at this point.
He's coaching on a higher level for a longer time. That's
Okay.
why. But and he's been coaching Seville, who's a bigger club as Bournemouth. But if you see at the way how Bournemouth is playing with the young players and what kind of style, that's what you have to look at, you know, and the messages that are coming out of Bournemouth from the players. You never hear trouble, you never hear something bad. when they have got a string of bad games, they stick with their plan. You know.
Do you think he's punching above his weight? Given that sometimes when I remember the size of Bournemouth, 14,000-seater stadium, quite an obscure club to have been in the Premier League as long as they have.
They've got quite a lot of Russian
money. Is he punching above his weight?
They have. But you have to think about all those things. Yes, of course they have. They are punching above their weight. It's a small club. It's a small club. Yes, they have got this year. They have spent in Lerma how many
25.
million? 25. But before that, they didn't. You know, and is this their third season in the Premiership? Yeah. So, he knows what he's doing. And they have done it in style. Yeah. Look how Cardiff is now trying to stay in the league. Yeah. They try to do it in a totally different way, but they're not getting any. They don't have a point yet, or they have 1 point at the moment. Yeah. But they haven't scored yet. Yeah.
I agree with you, Jimmy.
And they played three of the worst sides in the league.
It's a poor man's Ian Holloway. No, I'm kidding.
He's a rich man's Ian Holloway.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's done an incredible job there, Eddie Howe. And I think it's a testament to how well he's done. The fact that nobody would even consider Bournemouth as a contender to go down, would they? Nobody would.
I 100% would.
Okay, one person may. Everybody seems
to go down.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I think they'll be in that group of teams struggling not to go down. They're not a safe mid-table side.
There's only one side nailed on to go down, isn't there? And that is Cardiff.
I don't know. Huddersfield are not far away.
But they're in that group.
Yeah,
they're in the group of 5 or 6.
I don't think that Bournemouth is in that group. Ooh. I think Bournemouth is just out of good what I'm saying, just out of that group.
But they are an injury to one of their key personnel away from being firmly within that group. If Josh King gets injured, who scores the goals? Callum Wilson a little bit few and far between.
They've got the as well on the bench.
The defence as well. Who are their defensive options? Should a Daniels get injured?
Yeah, a club like that is always going to struggle if that happens. If an injury.
They're strong hypotheticals, but
however,
realistic.
For me, I honestly don't think that they'll go down. I feel like they've actually come very close now to establishing themselves as a Premier League club. I think there's going to be. In a few more years, there's going to be a generation of football fans who only know Bournemouth as a Premier League club.
Poor souls.
I thought that was to my comment.
Just generally put. Have we got any more questions, David?
I think it's great for football, for the Premiership, that a club like Bournemouth can stay and sustain themselves in the Premiership. It gives the others hope.
Here we go. Was that Jorginho arriving late?
Yeah.
This is amazing, watching a game with Rory. He really feels everything,
How many passes will Jorginho complete today?
Probably
12.
Yeah, he's
none. 178 or 158.
What's the last time?
Ridiculous.
But Bournemouth aren't going to let them have all the ball like Newcastle did. Bournemouth are going to try and get on the ball a little bit more, right?
What is he doing with those passes? Where are those passes going? That's what you need to ask.
Yeah, there is. You could.
Are you implying they're just going side to side, Jimmy? No. Meaningful passes.
No, sometimes you start the play and it has to go side to side the first 3 times, but I want to judge him when it has to be a critical pass. Yeah. The pass forward, the pass that is where I want to.
There's about 1.5 key passes from that deep line position last season for Napoli.
Yeah,
well, that's really good. That's great.
But I think he's had a really interesting effect, at least at the start of the season, on Kante, hasn't he? That Kante is much more progressive in this side. He's pushing him on. Yeah. He's the midfield general now, isn't he? So maybe we see Kante get some more goals this season. Equally, his finishing is pretty woeful.
He's got one already. He bobbled it in. They all count.
They all count.
They all count. There's no such thing as a bad goal. But yeah, it doesn't fit. I don't think this Kante as a forward-thinking.
As a sort of hybrid number 8, like 6'8".
Yeah.
What he brings more energy for the forwards.
Yes.
He brings more depth.
Yes.
Because he can run forever.
Yes.
True. So. But then also.
They've got a penalty at Brighton.
Oh, hello, Jimmy. Sorry, cutting you short. If we go over to Dave, there's a penalty.
Yes, it was a very cheap...
for Brighton against Fulham, I believe. Is that new boy Vieto gave it away?
Yeah, the striker was out on the side of
Great goal.
a kind of like
no.
It's just very, very cheap. Kind of like there's just
can't
no
believe
need. The player wasn't really going anywhere.
Can't believe this has
He just kind of dived in, and now it's a pen to Brighton.
Who do you think will take it? Glenn Murray.
Of course.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is hovering over the 12
And he will
yard
go
spot
to
now.
the left of the goalkeeper.
Yeah?
I don't know.
So you're a Glenn Murray aficionado then. I was going to say, this is obscure. OK, let's stay with the Brighton-Fulham game. While they're taking this penalty, a little bit of deliberation going on. Oh, it's nice, Pascal Gross. Pascal Gross is my dream team. Get in there, Jimmy.
I would love Brighton to win this game. I think Brighton's recruitment has been fantastic. Like getting Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh off Arsène.
There we go.
Pascal Gross.
It's the same.
Oh,
It's
my
the same.
goodness.
I
It
told
was
you
a
that.
poor penalty, to be
I
fair.
just want a goal to go in anywhere.
Don't we all?
Anywhere.
Oh, dear.
Who's in the
Imagine
goal?
if football was good.
Who's in the goal?
What a great save.
What a world that would be. Oh, slick move from
Poor
Bournemouth.
penalty or good save, lads?
No,
Mark Alonso not
I think
defending
that's
again.
a really
He
good
was
save,
already
to be honest.
down.
You didn't miss many penalties, did you, Jim?
No.
Horrible player.
Some of them are still travelling, apparently. Rumours would have it. Anyway, let's go back to Social Corner. David, any more questions?
Yes, there is from /Crow Gaming. He said, "Who is the biggest underdog this season?"
In terms of challenging for the title?
I think which like team is the biggest underdog? Well, I guess it's who spent the least. I would imagine.
So
But,
who's going to overperform, maybe?
Yeah.
I do think that they're going to win it, though. Who spent the less?
You think they're going to?
Really?
Yeah.
Manchester City.
No.
Spurs.
Spurs.
You think
Spurs going to win the title?
You've gone.
Jimmy,
mate,
drop
come
the
on,
mic.
you can't
You've
do
just
it.
win
That's
it.
ridiculous. Get him out. I've had enough of this.
You can't. Sidwell didn't say anything like that.
No, that's a ridiculous statement.
No, let's. Would you give him the
gonna win.
floor
No, that's
as to
not.
why? As to why? Come on, Jim.
Clinton
Just
Morrison
because
would never have said this.
If you look at all the seasons before, Tottenham has always started a little bit slow. This year they've started house on fire, and in the middle of the season they are the strongest. Yeah, that is where they kick on.
Oh gosh, this is
You know?
horrible. I don't know what's happening here. my hero telling me Tottenham are going to win the league. This is just painful.
Their squad's thinner though, isn't it? Like if they got an injury to a key Spurs player would be
We've
more
been
costly than an injury to a key City player. I
Well,
think,
we have been
for
saying
instance.
that for years. They still get through it.
But they also don't win the league.
They don't win the league. Yeah.
Sonny's coming back, Van Straten. That's why he's saying
He's coming back with a medal and a rifle.
I think this year is going to be. They're going to be there, or very.
The continuity's there, right?
I really think that if somebody's going to beat Man City, it's going to be Tottenham.
Yeah.
Not Liverpool.
I mean, if Lucas Moura really comes to the fore, Son comes back, all of a sudden they are much less dependent on Harry Kane. But you do worry if Eriksen gets injured, who's going to pick up that creative role in midfield? If
They've got enough.
maybe Alderweireld or Vertonghen. Harry Winks, I'm a big fan of Harry Winks.
They've got enough.
I'd honestly fancy them more in the Champions League than in the league.
Interesting.
Because you know how good they are over two games.
Yeah.
They're such a good defensive side. Absolutely battered Real Madrid last season, who then went on to win it. Like, I'm not saying they would win it, but there's something about the way they're set up. They're like Atletico Madrid. You know, like the way they're set up, I think they do tend to perform better. And we need to talk about Atletico with you later.
I'm telling you, this is going to be Tottenham's year.
All right.
Jimmy, stop it, please.
Jimmy,
I mean, I'm going to be honest.
This can't go on.
I don't know what's in
It's
Spurs victory,
painful.
I'm clipping that out and sending it to you.
It's painful. It's painful to say.
being wrong.
Yeah. I might be wrong.
Let him have it.
It's a possibility.
No, fair enough. I understand
it's
what
a
you're
possibility. Look, I do like to see them play because they play magnificent football. You know, and we love football. That's what it is about. You know.
OK, Jimmy, give us your top four.
My top four.
So
I
Spurs.
think
Bournemouth.
Spurs of Man City. Yeah.
Yeah, OK. So Spurs, then Man City we're going
Yeah.
with.
Liverpool.
Liverpool third, OK.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
That would be my top four, but in a different order.
Yeah.
Like,
Go on.
I think United and Arsenal will be the ones to miss out.
City.
Do we not all agree with
Yes.
Liverpool,
that? It's all right, Dave.
then Tottenham, then Chelsea would be my top four.
I might put Chelsea third.
Interesting.
Because the same argument as Jimmy's making, like Chelsea are still in transition, yet they've taken 9 points from their first 3 games. You know, if you're picking those points up when you're still getting in shape, then once the system's really rolling, it should be quite easy for them to carry on. You know, they've got a huge advantage over Arsenal and United now. You know, a 6-point advantage after 3 games of the season is almost insurmountable.
Pep Guardiola says the league's a won. Oh, hello.
Rubbish.
Leagues are won in the first 8 games and the last 8 games. So yes, if you continue to have this imperious start,
you could just extend that though, can't you?
Leagues
are won in the first 19 games.
That started with Luis again.
Luis, yeah.
Not being strong enough, and he's running away from Luis.
Yeah.
It's just a bad Matteo Guendouzi.
Do you know what though, Jimmy? Going back to that Tottenham point, do these facts not make you think that it's very unlikely?
Livid.
2 League Cups since 1991, 2 titles in 120 years in existence.
Yeah. What's he talking about?
No, come on, you're a very sensible bloke.
That's like saying, why did City win the title in 2011-12? Because they hadn't won it in like 40, 50 years. Well, different manager, different players,
and why did
completely
Leicester
different.
win it?
Oh.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just not how it works. Pochettino is an incredible manager. He really is. And their striker, I mean,
I just think they have got a lot of continuity.
Yeah.
Same team together. Yes, it is majority of the time the 11 that is. But if they can keep that 11 as much as possible together, I think they're going to be a big force.
Do you think their home forms, the fact they haven't got a home ground, is that going to play an issue this season?
I don't think Wembley is an issue anymore. It used to be an issue, but it's not an issue anymore.
I think if they signed a superstar midfielder to maybe cover Moussa Dembele when potentially his legs not give out, that's harsh, but he's not going to be able to play a 40, 50 game season. He said that himself, and that was why he was touted for big money moves to Serie A. Then I might be on the Jimmy bandwagon here. I might be pro Spurs, but I wanted them to see them sign someone like a Kovacic. I think he could potentially make the difference in terms
don't need a Kovacic.
Chelsea finishing above Tottenham. I think they do need another central midfielder.
No, they don't. Dyer can play
what
there.
Do you know? You're only a Premier League legend and you only managed 3 clubs. I'm on YouTube, right?
But Moussa Sissoko is rubbish though, Jimmy.
Is he not? I think that's harsh.
No, it's not. Because you can
Jimmy.
use him. You can use him.
Yeah, I mean,
he does have issues.
He's technically a professional footballer. That is true. But I'm not on the Hassel bandwagon here.
I think they have got the best right back in the Premiership. I think they have got the best. Oh yeah, always been.
Yeah.
Even before he was playing in the.
Whilst he was playing for Burnley.
Yeah.
And why was that? What qualities do you like in Trippier?
Because he could cross. He could cross
really well. Was he just it's just a forward's dream, right?
And going forward, he's magnificent.
Who's the best fullback you played with?
It's a great question.
Mario Melchior.
Interesting. Interesting.
That is interesting. A lot of candidates from that Chelsea side as well. Graham Lasseau.
So Dan Petrescu.
I didn't play with
Why Mario Melchior?
No, it's before my.
Who else would you?
Because he used to understand me, where I wanted the ball, how I wanted the ball, and you know, when he had the ball on the right, I was an outlet for him.
Like the Charity Shield against Manchester United at Wembley, just like that.
Recall.
Just like that.
Hey,
he's like that. I remember
encyclopedic.
It.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm getting news in my ear. I feel like Jason Statham today with this strapped in. That your old teammate. Frank Lampard's Derby have taken the lead.
Good.
Which is good for him because rocky results recently. Do you think he's going to fare well at Derby? Obviously, you've managed at Championship level, QPR. It can be rather unforgiving, but does he have the necessary qualities to survive in that environment, to thrive in that environment?
I think he's tough enough.
Yeah?
Yeah, mentally he's tough enough. Look, not everything is going to go right for him straight away. In his career, and I think he has seen that in his playing career. So in that aspect, there's nothing different, you know. So he had a few tough weeks, but that's good. That is good that he's finding that out now and you know, get on going, keep on going, and that's what he's doing.
That's been Derby full stop, hasn't it, their tenure in a Championship?
Oh, goal, it's a goal.
Cold. Hello.
It's a goal
Over
for
to Dave
Huddersfield. Yes, corner swinged, the corner swung in, and the number 8 for Huddersfield. The number 8 for Huddersfield was
Billing,
popped up in Billman.
The Billmeister General.
Yeah. He's got a lovely hairdo, by the way. I love that.
The replay is taking forever to come on, but we'll get there eventually.
I'll be honest, it wasn't the best defender from Everton.
Okay, here we go.
On the top.
He's basically just been able to run in from
so easy
outside to come in, and it was basically a free header, so not really the best defender from Everton there.
I mean, I would ask you about that goal, Jimmy, but it was a header, so I think we'll just not a 35-yard screamer. So I think we'll just
no need
we'll just
for that.
sack it. Well, I mean, that was true. Cheap.
Kovacic has absolutely killed people there.
Hello, Chelsea are in. That's just narrowly pulled wide by Kovacic.
He's got a
Running
good
power.
acceleration, hasn't he?
Yeah, rapid,
really good.
rapid. I've
Look
just
at
thought.
this.
I've just thought of
See
another
that?
one, Jimmy. Filbert Street in a 2-1 defeat.
Yes.
Header.
Against
A Jimmy
Leicester.
Floyd Hasselbaink header.
Even the Chelsea encyclopedia over here has had to take time out whilst the rest of us were talking to
2-1
remember your
defeat.
headlines.
Against
2-1
Everton,
defeat.
header.
Oh, okay.
A Callum
I
Davidson
mean,
winner.
you did
This
score
is
about
amazing.
120. So
What's
there, yeah.
happening?
So you didn't actually answer. I mean, you said it was impossible to pick, but surely you have a couple then, a couple that you always look back on fondly.
Yes.
Goal. for
Another goal.
Everton.
I'm not even finished
Oh my
asking my
gosh,
question.
that is how
They were
quick.
still celebrating. Huddersfield was still celebrating, and
Oh my
they've
God.
equalised.
Is that
Everton
Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, the camera. It was a lovely ball swinged in from the left. He's basically got his head on it, and he's beat the keeper. It's actually a very good finish with his head, Jimmy.
How many goals
Huddersfield
get
have
scored
been
after another goal?
Straight after, yeah. So yeah, it's now 1-1 in that game. So game on.
defensively lax Huddersfield big
Here
time.
we go. Oh,
A manager must be
Lucas
so
Digne.
furious when their team concede like that.
Oh, lovely ball from Lucas Digne.
Oh, he's got
Is
a
that
hand,
the
yeah.
first time he's been included in the side? He's replaced Leighton Baines today, their new summer signing from Barcelona.
Oh, keeper might be a
That's a
bit
lovely ball.
disappointed in this.
That was a lovely cross in there, wasn't it, from the left?
Oh,
Morata.
well
first
done.
time, Morata.
Right, back to our feature game, Chelsea versus Bournemouth.
Go
It is
on.
still 0-0.
Oh.
Pressure looking pretty ominous from Chelsea. They've been camped in Bournemouth's half for large parts of this first half. The press is looking decent. However, this right-hand side again, Marcos Alonso defensively suspect. Light with... Oh!
Stop it.
Marcus Alonso's got no idea.
Was that
what's
Josh
going
King with a little bit of skill? A lovely
drop it.
dribbling.
Bournemouth is very dangerous in a transition, and they are quick out.
on. Not a great hit.
Something Eddie Howe's obviously
Yeah,
incorporated into this side. Deserves a
got
lot of
runners.
credit for that.
They've got runners, a lot of quick runners, off the ball and on the ball.
I've got a great question from Paul Inner's Demon, right?
Yeah.
Which is a great name. He said, who is the best player Jimmy has played against?
Ooh, good question.
This could be
Against.
anyone.
Cheers, Paul.
Paulier.
Rio Ferdinand or Sol Campbell?
Yeah?
Fair.
Nice. The soul man.
Fair.
Why? Pourquoi?
Pourquoi? Because they had everything. You know, normally as a striker you look at your opposition and you look at what their weaknesses are. You know, are they slow? Are they not strong? Are they? How do they turn? Where are they positionally? You know, and them two, they were always in the right spot. And when they are not in the right spot, their recovery runs are so quick.
Yeah.
You know,
Athletes.
so it was very difficult playing against them.
Okay. And is that why you just chose to shoot from 35 yards so you didn't have to encounter? I mean, Rio Ferdinand was still 15 yards away when you took most of your shots, wasn't it?
I had to, because 1v1 he would majority of the time beat me.
Fair enough. Sticking to your strengths. Willian hobbling down the sideline.
Not a
Chelsea
problem.
Rory. Not a problem.
Not a problem.
Why
it's
is
the
that?
one position that I think...
Well stocked in.
Yeah, because you bring Pedro in. And I'm really excited to see Pedro playing in this Sarri side.
I think
actually.
Sarri loves him.
Well, because also Pedro's spent his whole life playing this sort of
That
expansive
way.
football.
He understands it, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense to get him as involved as possible.
He's a very selfless runner, very elusive across that,
Great eye for a goal
across
as well.
the front three. I think he could play the Callaghan role, I think,
Yeah.
pretty well in this side.
He's a really good player. Do you know what he's brilliant for as well? You know, a big goal. You know, not sort of the fourth in a 4-0 win. He'll get the first, or he'll nick a 1-0. He's really good for a big goal. And
Unbelievably
yeah, he's a good player.
consistent over that sort of that middle 18-month tenure for Conte, wasn't he?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Massive goals. And I think that season that we won the league, we beat Manchester United 4-0 at home. He got the first. We went away to Everton when it was really important that we won. He pinged one. It was 0-0 at half-time. He got the ball sort of beginning of the second half, just pinged it in from about 35 yards.
Good variation of goals, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy,
he's
do you think
a really
this
good
is
player.
this is a tactic Chelsea have adopted as quite a high line to sort of snuff out that counter-attack? Or is this pretty standard warfare? Oh,
I think it's because Bournemouth are that deep.
yeah.
That's why the centre halves are that high. You know, it brings more danger because there is more space behind.
Are you playing? Do you think we're playing into Bournemouth's hands there, though? Just then, there wasn't any player. There wasn't a Chelsea player apart from the keeper in our own half. Is that not just opening the door to one over the top for somebody to chase?
Well, it's working for Josh King down this right-hand side, isn't it?
Yeah.
So potentially. Although I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with how stoic Bournemouth have been so far. Begovic largely untroubled. A couple of pot shots from range. Van Straten. What do you foresee any changes second half, or is it going to be business as usual for Chelsea?
I think somebody's probably going to need to tuck in on this left-hand side to help Marcos Alonso out because he is doing a lot of jogging after guys.
That's running. He's just slow. He's
leave
running.
Marco Alonso alone.
Sprinting after people.
Leave Marco Alonso alone. He's going to be the difference.
Look, I would never, try and create a beef with a man as dangerous as Marcos Alonso.
Oh, mate, you went there.
But
unreal.
Generally speaking, no, I mean, in the box. But I don't know. I think Chelsea will probably just continue playing their normal game and hope they can pick them apart. Like, generally speaking, they've got a stronger bench. They can probably try different things. And I think that Willian, Pedro, I don't know, the depth there. Bournemouth don't really have much on the bench.
Yeah.
It's
Got a question?
pretty grim.
No, fair.
Got a question, mate.
Shoot.
From Soccer M's Facebook, it's from Sean Piercy. He said, "Is Jimmy looking forward to getting back into management?"
Yes, ASAP.
Yeah.
You told me
Yes.
you were going to an event Rafa Benitez is putting on.
Yes, a little seminar on Wednesday that we have been invited to.
Someone you have a lot of respect for, Rafa Benitez.
Yeah, I do.
Unbelievable pedigree.
Unbelievable. You know, it's always good to see those kind of people working and trying to pick up things and learn.
Okay, and what sort of level would you like to come back in at? Obviously, you had great success with Burton Albion.
Yeah.
Not so much with QPR, but that's, I think, more of a club thing
it's a
than a
club
Jimmy
thing,
thing.
yeah.
Right?
No,
You're a mess at Loftus Road. Sort it out.
I think I had a lot of success due all the circumstances at QPR. You know, if you see where the club is now, you know, so I didn't do too bad. Look, I want a challenge. I want to challenge a club thinking forward.
Okay.
You know,
Without
in the
prying
right
too
way.
much, why didn't it work for you at QPR eventually? Obviously, you have to be diplomatic about this. Look at that wry smile. But I've got to ask.
we don't have to be diplomatic about it. It's
right.
just
Spill the beans then.
it's just how it was. My ideas were different than the owners.
Okay.
You know, so
Different vision. That is quite diplomatic.
I think that we had to go a certain way, and they are thinking that we should have gone a different way. Simple as that.
Fair play. I won't press any more buttons. But so you think what Championship level, League One?
I just want a good.
Still in England?
Preferably, but I don't mind having something abroad.
Okay, and what league would suit you? What other style
I think
could you see yourself assimilating to quickly?
As a country,
Yeah.
I like the Dutch way. I don't mind going to France or to Belgium. I used to be in Belgium.
Royal Antwerp.
Yeah, so no, I just it's what is more important is the club.
Okay.
What is more important is the style and the job. You know, what is the job, and there is where I have to connect and fully be behind it.
Yeah,
Fair play. Brilliant question, Dave-O.
Hit him up on LinkedIn after this. If you've got a managerial job good enough for an icon like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. Atletico Madrid after Simeone.
Jimmy,
Bang, goal.
can I be your assistant?
There's a goal for Fulham.
Yeah.
Schürrle.
Oh, hello.
Oh, what a man.
New boy summer signing Schürrle has scored over to Dave Jackson, who's going to describe the goal when the replay eventually comes on. I'm stalling for him right now.
Thank you very much,
Still,
Mr.
Dave, here we go.
Hamill.
Over to you,
Yes,
mate.
the ball knocked about him in midfield. Number 29 has put it. He's just kind of sliced it through.
Oh, beautiful.
Lovely little finish, to be fair, from Schürrle. You can't really ask much more than that. The goalkeeper
pass.
probably couldn't have done much more with that, and it was a very, very good finish.
I think there'll be a lot of Borussia Dortmund fans who are wondering where this sort of form has come from Schürrle, as he was fairly poor in the black and yellow, although very injured, so maybe we're being harsh yet again, Jimmy. Now, we've got a few more offers from our friends over at Sky Bet. Callum Wilson, first goal scorer, 12-1. Not too bad, I think I'll take him or your boy Josh King. You know, famously, I keep saying your boys Patrick Van Straat and Dan Gosling and Josh King are his best men. They were his best men at his wedding.
Ryan Gosling.
True story. And Ryan Gosling was there. And they actually winked to me as he went down the aisle. So, true story.
Did do that.
Yeah.
True story.
Fantastic. Davo,
Yes,
before we talk about Pato's wedding anymore.
I actually
It
have a
was a
question
lovely
for
day.
Chelsea Rory. He said, how do you feel about Mourinho?
Oh, we had this on 12 man, didn't we, Rory? Go on.
Yeah.
Get it all out again.
I mean, I think it's important to just like get it out.
Why are you taking a touch,
Chelsea are
man?
about to score a goal. I'm
Back
convinced
post.
Chelsea are about to.
Eden?
It's Alonso. Oh, he's in a post.
Marcos! With his right foot.
Oh, go, get into the space.
Such a
Marcus won't know
shame.
what's going
God,
on.
What a shame.
Oh, Marcus
his
doesn't know
right
what's
foot as
happening.
well.
I keep thinking the pitch is really short and that's the line there. What is the groundsman doing at Bournemouth?
Oh, what a shame.
OK,
Lots of
so
empty seats.
So,
for Chelsea.
decent build-up there. Alonso arriving late on the
Alonso
edge of the
arriving-
box, and that's what he loves doing.
Great right foot shot, and like he's so dangerous going forward. I think we've scored 8 goals this season. He's been directly involved in 5 of them. Like, he's so good. He's also pinged in a winner against Arsenal already this season. He's such a good player.
Lucky.
At least at that side of his game. I really do love him.
Him and Victor Moses must have been devastated when Conte left because they were just perfect wing-backs, weren't they?
Yeah.
Right, and it's fallen back into
for
Begović's
sure.
hands. So back to the question.
Oh, Mourinho.
In hand, Jose Mourinho. How do you feel about him? Because he's, I mean, meltdown strong, but
No, it's a meltdown. I don't think it is strong. I think it is a meltdown.
And he's one of your
man.
heroes as well.
Yeah, he
Crack
he
on.
was. I think it's important before we kind of delve into this to just
Prefix
acknowledge that I will forever love Mourinho for what he did. I was at the Reebok when Frank Lampard rounded Jääskeläinen and I saw Chelsea win the league, something I thought would never, ever happen in my lifetime. So, with all that, I will
Finish
forever...
second when Jimmy was there. Have a bit of respect.
I'll forever be thankful for that.
Yeah.
But since then, I think that he is in a terrible state and I can't see any way out of it. The echoes of what's happening now at Manchester United compared to what happened at Chelsea in 2015 are strikingly similar, like terrifyingly similar.
And arguably funnier.
And
Like, a little bit funnier.
definitely funnier for me. Yeah, far funnier. But do you know what? I can remember in about 2007 when it first went wrong for Mourinho in his first spell at Chelsea. He was having a gripe with the board, and he wouldn't. We went away to Wickham in the League Cup, and we ended up drawing 1-1.
Yeah.
And we ended up playing that day. We had Michael Essien and Paulo Ferreira as our 2 centre-halves. And that was Mourinho's way of saying to the board, why haven't you signed Tal Ben Haim? We were desperate. No, genuinely, that's what it was all about. I'm not even joking. That's what it was all
Great
about.
question. Why haven't you?
The whole grief initially was that Chelsea's board wouldn't sanction a 500 grand deal with Bolton Wanderers for Ben Haim. So as a result, Mourinho kind of got angry and played 2 players out of position. We drew 1-1 at Adams Park. Terrible result. The other day when I was watching the Manchester United game and you had Ander Herrera
right.
playing centre-half, it's like, that's exactly what he did originally.
Yeah.
Like, that is 2 fingers up to the board. And I don't think you ever recover from that.
Jimmy, what do you think? To Mourinho's current predicament at Manchester United.
I'm a big lover of Mourinho. I think what he has done in the game, absolutely magnificent. He's still one of the best managers around. Obviously,
Still?
Yeah.
He was one of the best managers. Is he still one of the
I
best
think
managers?
so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Obviously, there is something going on in the back, you know, above.
At boardroom level.
Yeah, there is something going on, and this is the way that he expresses himself.
Yeah, and to be fair, the
you know?
fans have criticised Ed Woodward as much as they have criticised Jose Mourinho, so I think they appreciate that something is also going on at boardroom level. But, you know, he has spent almost 400 million in 2 summers, so maybe Woodward feels a little bit aggrieved at that criticism, and their best go-to option on the bench is still Marouane Fellaini, pumping it long to him, so largely uninspired. I think he's not cultivated a side since that first Chelsea side. It's been very short-term since. I know that's an easy criticism of him because within that short-termism, he normally generates a lot of success, but that's not been the case this time round, and that 3rd season spectre is looming. But it's half-time in the games, it's 0-0. And another offer we have from our mates over at Sky Bet, a correct score of Chelsea 2-0 is 5-1. I think I prefer Callum Wilson bet from Perfect. Dave, half-time in the games as well. Have you got anything to say, shed a bit of light on them?
Yeah, Fulham 1-0 up against Brighton. They're probably lucky to be 1-0 up considering Brighton missed the penalty. Chelsea, obviously, you guys have been talking about that. Palace 0, Southampton 0. Not been the best of games, to be honest. West Ham Wolves has been atrocious as well. And
That was your best game of the day, Dave.
Well, it was like kind of like it's supposed to be. And then Everton, Huddersfield 1-1. That I think Everton will go on and win pretty comfortably in the second half. I think they'll come out a bit more fired up and they'll get the goals.
If this Fulham side can carry on picking up points from sides like this, they could finish.
I actually think Brighton. I actually think Brighton will definitely get something out of that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Has it been against the run of play?
No. I feel Brighton have got enough in them to at least nick a goal and probably quite. I think they'll at least get a draw out of that game.
And of course, penalty goes the other way, and I'm not saying that. So there we have it. And Strawn, what has impressed you so far in this Chelsea-Bournemouth game, if anything? Apart from Jimmy saying Tottenham are going to win the league.
The intensity of the Bournemouth press has been pretty good. They've exploited the space really well, and they've won fouls on the counter as well, which gives their defence time to kind of push up. I mean, Kovacic, I'm a huge fan of him, but he is quite foul happy, and that has given Bournemouth some breathing space. But I think that their game plan is surprisingly not that conservative. They're not just parking the bus. They've come to play a bit of football, and I don't know. I enjoy that front line of King, Wilson and Fraser. I think that's actually quite exciting. My issues with Bournemouth have always been how poor they are defensively. So I don't know, if they continue to hold out at the back, they've definitely got a chance of nicking something.
Interesting. I agree, I concur. But now we go over to Personal Mastermind, one of our strands on Football Daily FC, our third YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please go and do so now. We had some time with Ryan Sessegnon, and we asked him, Ryan, how well do you know yourself? Run VT.
Man till come with a dipper. Man till he's got that spinner. Nowadays can't tell who's the favour. Everyone claims they're a driller. Everyone claims they're a driller. Everyone claims they're a driller. Man can't tell who's the favour. Everyone claims they're a driller.
Hello FDFC and welcome back to Personal Mastermind. Today I'm here with Ryan Sessegnon. Is popping off in the background, but so is this player. Ryan, first question before we dive into PM. How has the last 12 months changed your life? The first guy from the Championship to be nominated for PFA Young Player of the Year. Your stock is on the rise, sir.
It's been a good 12 months recently, especially getting promoted to the Premier League. Like you said, getting voted for the first player not in the Premier League to be voted for the young player.
Yeah, what's that?
So I'm grateful.
Take it all in stride?
Yeah, I take it all in my stride and try to improve as always.
Yeah, man. All right, cool. Well, I've got a few fan questions here for you, and then we're going to jump to Personal Mastermind, which is basically how well do you know yourself? Top of the leaderboard, I think, at the moment is Jimmy Bullard. Could quite easily have that wrong. Okay, we put out a tweet earlier, and our fans, this is the best material they had for you. Are you ready? Are you ready for Team FD? Right. Ross Ferns has gone straight in at the deep end with, Ryan, what is your all-time five-a-side team that you've played with?
I ain't played with many players.
What about from the current Fulham setup then? Who would you go for?
The current Fulham setup, I'll say, as a defender, I'll say Tim Ream.
Yeah?
Put him in defence because he's cool and composed, relaxed. I put myself on the left, midfield, and then the right, I'd put Tom Kearney there.
Yeah,
Tekers never gives the ball away. And I put up top just to be big Mitra. Alexander Mitra, hold the ball, great finisher. So
signed on a permanent recently. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's good. Good news for the club. For himself, obviously, he enjoyed his time last season here, so it's good business from Fulham.
The next questions aren't so taxing. Right, this one comes from Oliver Skovko Larson, and he's asked, do you go for pineapple on a pizza?
No.
Absolutely not. Moving on. Zeko. Matt Profit has asked, shall I put you in my dream team? Now, we run our own fantasy league. It's called the 12th Man. Should Matt put you in his team this season?
Yes. Sure.
Are you confident about the season to come? Obviously, you've improved exponentially. Your figures last season were incredible. How big a step up is the Premier League, and how ready are you for it?
I think it will be a very big step up for me. Obviously, I've never played in the Premier League, but it's one that I'm excited for, and hopefully I do well. So to that question, I'd say, yeah, gamble on me.
Gamble on him. And now, how well do you know yourself? You should gamble on him, but should Ryan gamble on himself? Let's find out in Personal Mastermind. Adam Templeman, 2 minutes on the clock, please, sir, starting now. In what year, Ryan, did you first join Fulham?
2008.
Correct. In 2014, you won the Under-16s International Cup with Fulham by winning 2-1 against which club? You better than that, Ryan. Come on.
Liverpool.
Nope, Chelsea, incorrect, mate. Which club did you make your first professional appearance against?
Leyton Orient.
That is correct, in the EFL Cup. Against which club did you score your first professional goal?
Cardiff.
That is also correct. This goal meant you were the youngest championship goal scorer ever, but who held the record before? That is a hard one. Spanner in the works. You can pass.
Yeah, pass.
That's obscene. Who did you score your first FA Cup debut goal against?
Cardiff.
Again, bang, one in the bag. In 2017, you won the Under-19 Euros with England against Portugal, but which player scored the winning goal?
Lucas Lemaitre.
That is with 3 goals, but which other England player matched your tally?
Ben Burton.
Correct. Shared the spoils. Your brother Steven Sessegnon, I suppose you're familiar with him, is also at Fulham, but in what game during your professional career did you first play together?
Wickham.
Incorrect. Brazil under-17s versus England under-16s, apparently, for 3 minutes in December 2015. You should know that. Your brother is disappointed in you, I can tell. England won that game 2-0. Do you remember which current Manchester City player bagged both goals?
Phil Foden.
Correct. Knows more about Phil Foden than his brother, that's disappointing. Who did you score your first professional hat-trick against?
Sheffield United.
Also correct. You're killing it here. Which one of your fellow Fulham teammates said, I'm 99% sure he will be one of the top left-backs in the world?
Stefan Johansson.
Shout out to Stefan Exoic. Correct. In February 2018, CIES listed you alongside Mbappe and Donnarumma in their 50 most promising under-20 players in the whole of Europe. Where did you place?
39.
It was 10th, mate. Back yourself.
Wow.
Stop the clock. We've got time for one more question after this, but how does it feel, given the year you've had, to be compared to players of that calibre? Does it still seem a little bit mad?
It does, yeah. It's a bit crazy.
It's surreal.
Yeah, it does. It does feel crazy.
We've got time for one last question. Let's finish off on a high. Which Fulham teammate have you created the most goals with so far in your prodigious young career? There's 2 players. You'll get a point for either.
Tom Kenny.
Tom Kearney is one, but for a bonus point, can you name the other?
Stefan Johansson.
Absolutely not. It was Sonny.
Oh,
and Luke.
I knew it was a Luke.
You know what? I've got a few questions of my own that I'd like to ask before we wrap this up. I want to know, Ryan, as a young man, who did you look up to? Who's your idol? Who's helped you get to the level that you're at now by aspiring to be them?
I've always said, believe it or not, I've always said Luke Shaw and Gareth Bale. And obviously, when I say Luke Shaw, a lot of people are surprised because he's not that much older than me. But when I was watching him when he was 17, playing for Southampton in the Premier League, it's just that I wanted to do something like that. Playing in a similar position, obviously I started as a left back.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to base my game around what he was doing when he was that age. So I always looked up to him. And same for Gareth Bale when he started off at Southampton and went to Tottenham and still was a left back and then transformed into a flying winger. That's what I want to emulate my game on.
Was it always on your mind to become a more attack-minded player after starting at left back? Did you feel that's where your best qualities were?
I think, yeah, if you ask any of the coaches in Fulham Academy, they knew my strength was going forward, attacking, and I have a lot of endurance. I like to get up and down, and they knew I can attack well. So.
Now, obviously, you ripped up the Championship last season. But what fullback are you looking forward to playing against this season?
Say Kyle Walker.
Yeah?
At Man City, because
He's going to be tough.
Very tough right back, very quick, but as a young player, you can only get better by playing against players like him. So, looking forward to it.
All right, cool. And we've got a slightly odd one to finish on. I think Adam Templeman might have slipped this in the Clickbait King. What is the weirdest DM you've ever been sent? Little look to the agent. Can he answer that? Absolutely not. All right? You got an answer?
I can't answer that.
Right, we're cutting it short there. What a note to finish on. Right, so that is the end of the show. The leaderboard should be on screen now. Guys, if you want to see more great content like this, then like and subscribe to FDFC. Ryan, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you.
Peace. Good second half, everyone. Hello, here we are. Ooh. Everyone heard that message. Just me G'ing the team up. Chelsea Rory, still not back, has gone for a tinkle. However, we are going to look at our accumulator in the meantime, in the interim. We have kicked back off. But here we go. So Jimmy went for a home win, Chelsea, Bournemouth. I went for an away win, Brighton, Fulham.
Well done, Chris.
Dave, home win there, 1-1 with Huddersfield. Everton look like edging it, Dave?
I think they will, yeah. I think definitely will.
Rory's gone for a home win, Palace versus Southampton. Pato, controversially gone for the draw, which means with West Ham and Wolves, I say controversially, it's 0-0. He's called it bang on at the moment. It means our odds are 50-1. Come on in, Chelsea, Rory. Get seated, sir.
Stop calling him Chelsea.
No, that's his name.
That's his name.
That's his name. Oh, things come out of the laptop. It's all gone Pete's on at the start of the second half.
We're all good. It's fine.
Anyhow,
no one saw it.
so in that personal mastermind, I asked Ryan Sessegnon,
He's actually gonna do
the
it.
promising young footballer, what's the strangest message he's ever been sent on socials.
Wow.
And I want to put forward the same question to you. I will. He didn't answer.
sent.
His agent refused to let him
Someone
answer.
sent to him, just to clarify.
Being sent, not sent out. That would be an even better question.
OK, cool.
Strangest message you've received from a fan?
Me?
When
Chelsea Rory, do you remember that goal you scored against Kidderminster that time?
I kind of also don't have to be a fan either. Just I want to know what the strangest message you've ever received is.
We're going there.
Yeah.
We're going the whole way.
I don't know. I have to leave it with that.
Okay.
Just as diplomatic as he was about QPR. Anyhow, we can see here all the teams coming out for the second half. Roy Hodgson prowling the touchline there. Get in there, Roy. We've got Chelsea to win and BTTS on screen at 6-1. Both teams to score, that is Van Straten. Yes, I knew that before I said it. 6-1. So, if you fancy a bit of that, then get in the description box below. Fans there look absolutely... I mean, to be fair, they look bored, Rory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fed up,
the
isn't
game's not on.
Chelsea fans are, aren't they?
They're waiting for the
Yeah,
game
but
to
if you
start.
generate a bit of atmosphere...
Terrible.
Oh, no, that's where you're going wrong. That does not happen at Chelsea.
Waste of energy at half-time.
Yeah, no.
They have a fight,
No, this-
getting a nice fight.
Right, here we go. Pascal Gross is coming out for
Why
Brighton.
are you the only likeable Chelsea fan, Rory?
That's very kind of you. I'm gonna find the compliment in that. Thank
You're
you.
a lovely bloke, but I despise your club.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
On where would we rank in your hatred? Number one.
No, it goes. United are the worst club in the world.
Yeah, for me as well.
And then
Who do you support?
Arsenal. Leave it, Jimmy. Can you just chill out?
The game's kicking
Chilled,
off.
I just feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, I feel sorry for myself. I'm not defending my decision. But at the time, in 1996, it was a great time to become an Arsenal fan.
Wenger come in.
Yeah,
So you're not a real fan because they were great in 1996.
No, I was 6 at the time.
Nugget about Van Straten. The match has kicked.
I am, Jimmy?
Back
What's
off.
going on?
Bournemouth, Chelsea. I assume it'll only be seconds before we get back into what club Van Straten hates the most.
Barcelona.
Quite a hateful guy,
Next.
but
Yeah, but
Do you?
Barcelona.
Dreadful.
Do you?
Wow.
Nobody hates Barcelona.
Yeah,
I think their fans are really entitled, and they're quite. Yeah,
not pulling any punches this episode Van
They're
Straten. Let them have
they're
it.
just obnoxious, mate.
Yeah.
Actually, can we talk about La Liga?
I'm seeing a goal coming.
What do you think Atleti's chances are of winning the league this season? Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, by the way, just so everyone knows.
I think
24 goals.
I think this season is a big chance for them because
Couldn't agree more.
Real Madrid is not as strong as they used to be, and Barcelona also
got a goal.
not. That's quick, Southampton.
We do have a goal. We might as well
we do.
go over now. You've interrupted Jimmy's train of thought.
Sorry, Jimmy. I saw it.
And it's the new boy Dings.
Yes, Danny Ings has popped out. It's a lovely finish, to be fair. The ball over the top. A lovely little flick on from the Southampton striker, and he just slotted it straight in.
I'm really pleased about
Really,
that.
really good finish.
Ooh,
really,
it's a
really good
lovely
finish.
finish.
Yeah.
You're really pleased just because he's had such a torrid time with injuries. Is that Rory?
No, I'm really pleased because I have a weird, well, not that weird actually, but a very strong antipathy towards Roy Hodgson.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah, huge. Roy Hodgson ruined my life twice.
I think he's done a great job in Palace.
Just once. No, not just once.
Oh,
Once.
so I'm weird for hating Barcelona, but he hates Roy Hodgson. He's just a perfectly nice
He's not
old
said
man.
why yet. Go
Yeah,
on.
he ruined my life twice. 2014, I'm going to take you on a little journey back to 2014.
Please do.
I was saving up for a year to go to the World Cup. England were playing in Brazil. It was a trip of a lifetime. I was so excited.
Oh, goodness.
England were basically out before my plane had landed, and I was there for a month. So Roy Hodgson was very much in my black book, sir, because he got it so wrong, right? I went to the game against Costa Rica, it meant nothing.
Were you there for a month because
I was there for
of
a month
England's
because I was going to watch
Did you plan to be
England
there
win
for a
the
month,
World
or did you spiral into a horrible...
I was due to be there for a month. I didn't do the first game. The first game was
Where were
against
you, in
Italy.
Manaus?
No, I stayed in Rio.
Oh, thank
But
God,
the
because I was about to say, otherwise, yeah, that is not a great
yeah.
place
No,
to be.
the first game was
Rio is an amazing place to spend a month.
Exactly. No, it was great, but the point was the football, and obviously there was no... I only went to 2 England games in the end, and I was meant to be there. I had
Too
tickets to
many.
the
Too many.
Maracanã, we were due to play Colombia. I worked it out that we were going to finish second in the group, and it was all going to go to plan, and then we went out, and Costa Rica went through top of the group.
So
was
you expected
fantastic.
to see a lot more England matches?
Yes, I expected to see at least one more.
What a reward
Come on,
that
you
would
must
have
have...
been. More
one
England
more.
matches.
One more would have been good.
Jimmy, we're
Sorry.
in no position. Like,
Yeah.
in no position. I spent that whole World Cup mocking all the England fans, and then the Netherlands didn't qualify for the next one. And it was not a great time.
Yeah.
Not a great
There we go.
time.
And then 2 years later, Iceland happened. And I saved up again, went to
That was
France.
great also.
And Iceland happened.
That was
I will never
fantastic.
forgive Roy Hodgson. He's ruined my life twice.
Patrick is actually an avid Netherlands fan.
Is he?
Got some
I
Dutch
grew, up
ancestry.
I grew up supporting the Netherlands. So,
Just to
Yeah.
explain that
Yeah,
little
but what is
dynamic.
happening with the Netherlands is a disgrace.
yeah. I
Is
couldn't-
Koeman
Yeah.
the man to fix it?
I bloody hope so. He's it has to. They just
Yeah.
need to, stop sticking with their silly beliefs.
Which are, just for the rest of us.
What, just pass?
No, it's not only about pass, but it is first ball backwards, controlling the game, and
Sure.
then trying to score the perfect goal. And no,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. Not anymore in international football. A lot of teams are very comfortable without the ball.
Yeah.
So they need to become also comfortable without the ball and learning how to defend.
Which is weird because you associate, at least the best Dutch sides, Johan Cruyff's side, for example, as being expert users of space. So how has that kind of dissipated over time? What's happened to the level of quality in Dutch football? Because where are the Iron Robin replacements?
The squad is actually starting to get a little bit better again.
Yeah?
So before
Reasons to be positive?
when you look at a potential back three of maybe Nathan Ake, but certainly Virgil van Dijk and Matthijs de Ligt, and then you kind of look at that and you think there's talent there. Memphis Depay is improving
Get the
again
legs
and
off
looks
to
like
Barca
being a
ASAP.
star again. Like there's definitely talent.
Yeah.
There's
coming through.
talent, but the way
Frenkie
they
de
want
Jong,
to play, there's
Yeah.
a lot of talent, but the way they want to play, they want to be dominant. We are not the dominant force anymore.
I know what you mean.
Do you
That's
know...
why Van Gaal was so good, right? Because he said we can't do that.
But
we're going to be smart about what we've got.
But the Dutch, they hated Van Gaal
Yeah.
doing that until they got themselves in a quarter-final and a semi-final,
Yeah.
and they start loving it.
I read somewhere that Van Gaal bid for you while he was manager of Barcelona to the tune of £8 million, and you almost joined from Chelsea.
Yeah,
Is that true?
was a little bit more than 8 million.
Oh, okay.
But
Stick as many zeros as you like, Jim.
no. It almost happened.
Is this just before you went to Atleti?
No.
No.
Oh no, Chelsea. Sorry, yeah, this was like a little while later.
He lost the game against Valencia and he got sacked. The deal was done.
But you didn't want to leave. You were happy at the...
Sorry to shatter your perception there, Rory, but
Yeah, definitely want to say at Chelsea 2002.
that just
No,
happened.
but it was in a time. it was at a time that Abramovich was not there yet,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
Chelsea was struggling for money.
Yeah.
So they had to do business.
Right.
So,
And even though you were top goal scorer 3 times in 4 years at Chelsea at that particular time, the team was, I'm led to believe, a little bit more Zola-centric. So you were kind of seeking pastures new, but then you came back in and did what you did best,
But you had
which is
different
score a lot of
roles.
goals.
Zola Zola's more of a creator in a way,
Yeah.
and you're the finisher.
yeah, look, I used to love playing with Gianfranco. Gianfranco is one of the
Genius.
best players I've ever played with.
Yeah.
But it sounds weird. It just clicked better with me and Ida.
Sure.
That was a
but-
fabulous partnership, though, wasn't it? You two?
Yeah,
It was outrageously good. It was-
But we
sometimes
didn't
it's
work
very-
on it. But we didn't work on it.
Really?
It was
It's
just
just
natural.
That's the best
You
kind,
know?
though, isn't it? That's
He was a supremely intelligent footballer.
so
wasn't he?
good.
And
Yeah.
he seemed to be
Very intelligent.
provided a lot of the final passes for you. So was he a little bit selfless in that regard?
Yes, more selfless
Than you.
than me. but he scored also a lot of goals,
Yeah.
and they came from me as well. So,
Quite a lot of goals.
you know,
Not as many as
not
some
as
people.
many.
but-
I think,
2 times Golden Boot winner, not as many as...
I think we had like together 52 in that year, and I had like 27 or 28, and he had, you know,
Yes. No, that's
the
huge.
rest,
It was a
24.
wonderful partnership.
But
Wasn't
this
it?
is
It's so good.
But this is the thing. I mean, you could actually bring that up with Idaho Johnson to go back to the Netherlands thing. You do see like the threads of kind of like of Dutch footballing ideas throughout the world of football, but the Dutch are no longer the best practitioners of them. So that was the frustration about Spain.
The Spanish have taken it
in
over.
2010.
Yeah.
Like the Spanish were playing
Dutch
what you
football.
think
Yeah,
of as
yeah.
like as the perfect example of Dutch football and doing it better. They were counter pressing better. They were doing possession better.
That's
and they were
why
doing
you're
it
an
against the
Arsenal fan,
Netherlands.
are you?
Yeah.
Well, Dennis Bergkamp was.
Dennis Bergkamp.
I mean, he's my
Look at him love.
he's my favourite player of all
Dennis
time. I mean, the talent is undeniably like not as good as it was. Like, so for instance, you were what, the second highest scorer in La Liga in that season. You were
Yeah.
with Atleti, got
Yeah.
24 goals,
Yeah.
and that season also in the top 10.
And they-
Roy Mackay and Patrick Kluivert.
How did they still go
Those
down?
are the Dutch strikers just in La Liga that one
How
season.
did Atletico still go down when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink scores 24
Because
goals?
he scored half their goals and no one else did anything. But didn't you also get to the Copa del Rey
We
final
got in the
that
Copa
year?
del Rey final.
And beat Real
And-
Madrid
and-
at the Bernabeu.
Yes.
You scored
And
2,
it-
you should remember that, come on.
I do. We won 3-1. The Copa del Rey final, we lost against Espanyol. And you will never believe who was or you will never guess who was the centre half for Espanyol playing against us.
Pochettino. Johnson.
Pochettino.
Pochettino, bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an
Was
Espanyol
Simeone
man, he
in
said
that
that's why he
side
went
with you?
manager.
He'd gone by then.
He'd gone, yeah. Simeone is a little bit older as I am.
So what?
Are you impressed I knew it was Pochettino, Jimmy?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
am. How did you know?
So,
Go on, tell me, how did you know?
Oh, well, I knew he coached there, so I took a gamble.
so Jimmy, you said that Gus Hiddink was one of the best managers you played under. Why
Yeah.
was that?
Rubbish. Sorry,
Because
not
he was
Hiddink.
so intelligent about it. He didn't do a lot, but he did a lot.
Okay.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
did a lot by doing very little. That's what I
Yeah.
keep saying at my performance reviews.
Do you mean tactically?
Tactically, but everything. We went to the World Cup and we went to the semi-final. We lost against Brazil on penalties.
That was the
but
worst.
we shouldn't actually lose against them.
Yeah.
France was so happy, you know, that we lost because
That was
after
such a
that,
ridiculous team.
Marcel Desailly told us, we didn't want to play you guys, you know.
So what was it about that Holland side? That Netherlands side, sorry.
Have you
Holland.
looked at the talent in it? It's
It was
unbelievable.
It was ridiculous.
Everybody coming together and the team was so strong. The team was
David Seedorf,
Just the personnel
midfield.
then. So I guess Gus
Kluivert,
Hiddink just
Hasselbaink.
facilitated that
Yeah,
by not doing a lot, just let you guys play.
But
it was so
also
good.
he did not play the Dutch system, the 4-3-3. You know, he tweaked it.
Okay.
He tweaked it sometimes with 4-4-1-1, and sometimes he went back to the 4-3-3. You know, he just tweaked it. He was not afraid of doing that. While in the past, Dutch managers didn't do that. It was you had to play
Rigid,
4-3-3,
yeah? Okay.
and it had to be that system, and you have to play that way, and you have to pass it from the back and play to the thirds, and it was a little bit different. He tweaked it, didn't tweak it big, but it tweaked it enough. And that made a difference.
On the topic of tweaking it, what needs to be done in the second half for Chelsea to get the points? Bournemouth currently lining up a very promising-looking free kick. We also have offers from Sky Bet for Morata to score first at 9-2, but Bournemouth looking the more likely in the early stages of the second half. The free kick has been dropped to the back post.
Excellent
and
defending there
defended
from
extremely
Barcelona.
well there
He had
from
no idea- he had
your
no
boy
idea what was going
Marcos. Thoroughbred defender.
Can you give him some
Rarely
credit,
seen in the
please?
opposition second half.
But
There he is running,
opposition's
playing
half
everyone
even.
on side. Great work, Marcus.
Davo, do we have any
Dreadful.
fan questions?
There's a fan question from Hun4.
While this corner comes in.
Great name.
Can we talk about the Netherlands again, please?
That
So I
was actually nice.
I was
That
genuinely
actually
really
nice,
interested.
yeah. But he said, "What do you guys think of Morata? What do you think he'll do this season? How many goals?"
Lovely whipped in corner there. Chelsea
Your
old boy
boy.
Nathan Ake almost scoring. Patrick Van Straan, I promise we'll get back to Holland later.
Thank
but
you.
the question was, that was close.
Oh, he needs to score.
About Morata. Should he have scored, Jimmy?
Yeah, he has to score.
Oh, arriving late there. Good movement from him. He is a threat in the opposition half, isn't he, Ake?
Oh.
He's quite...
Goodness me.
Anyhow, let's go back to the question. And
how many goals will we get this season, and will he have a decent season?
Morata, personally, I'm a big fan, and I think plagued by injury in the second half of last season and a severe lack of confidence, I think he needs to be a little bit more nasty, let's say, a little bit more selfish. That penalty against
that's probably true.
Huddersfield that Jorginho took. If you're a striker who's suffering for confidence, surely you're snatching that out of Jorginho's hands. From a man who snatched several penalties from several hands.
I didn't snatch. They knew just that I would put it away. You know.
Yeah. So you didn't really suffer any, confidence issues, it would seem, because you're unbelievably consistent after you arrived from Portugal. What advice would you impart to Morata for this season? How can he get back to scoring ways?
I think penalty is not really Morata's strength.
Okay.
You know, I think he needs to have more movement in the box.
What's he doing now then? Is he a bit static, or is he outside the box, joining in with
No,
link-up play too much?
there's a lot of play coming from the wide areas when Alonso comes through or William comes through, and you don't see a lot of second movements from him.
Okay.
You know, his first
Is that
movement...
after your initial run, yeah?
Yeah, so you have a dummy run.
Okay.
You know, so you're taking that defender away to get that space. Or sometimes you have to do that 3 times, you know?
More dynamic then with his movement.
He doesn't... And it's not... I'm not talking about a lot of meterage here. It's maybe 2-3 meters. He doesn't do that enough for my liking.
Interesting.
You know?
Rory, what's been your take on him?
Yeah,
Since his
I'm
arrival,
sort of
let's
half
say.
pulling my hair out with him, to be completely frank. I think, look, before I go into it, I completely respect the fact, you know, he's won the European Cup twice, so he's obviously a good player. But he's nowhere near the player that we crave.
Yeah,
and, you know, I've been very fortunate with the players that I've been fortunate enough to watch, you know, all through my life, you know, even players who some people don't even rate that highly in the English league. Hernan Crespo, for example, is one of the best strikers I've ever had the privilege of watching. Diego Costa, Didier Drogba, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, Ida Johnson, Mark Hughes, like the list goes on and on. I've been so fortunate. And it's a travesty that Alvaro Morata is now that man. And Alvaro Morata is following in the footsteps of the players that I've just mentioned. Because for me, he's nowhere near that calibre.
Interesting.
Nowhere near.
Because we
He's
actually
so
think he's
flat.
he's got a really high ceiling. I just think, I mean,
Yeah, me too.
okay, let's see 5-6 more games if you can put a run together. Dave, let's come over to you for a roundup in the other games. Has anything changed? What's going on? Foul in the Bournemouth-Chelsea game.
Back
over to Dave.
Yes, Crystal Palace, Southampton. Palace should have scored. The ball was knocking about in Southampton's penalty area. Benteke should have scored. He didn't.
I feel like that gets said an awful lot about Benteke.
The last 18 months been a lot of Benteke.
It was like, I don't know if you want to call it brave defending or lucky defending, whatever.
Okay.
But they kind of did what they had to do. Everton, Huddersfield. Theo Walcott's come off. I think he's got a bit of a knock. Brighton against Fulham. Again, not much happening in that. Still 1-0 Fulham. West Ham, Wolves. It's about even Stevens there, really.
Did Adama Traore start, do you know, or has he just come on? Because I just saw him in my peripherals. And, he's an easy guy to spot, isn't he?
I think he has just actually come on.
Yeah, just came on. Got that confirmed in my ear. Jason Bourne style. Bang. Anyway, back to the game.
Morata's just gone off.
Morata's just gone off.
Yeah.
Right on cue. Who's come on? Giroud.
Giroud, yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
You've gone route one.
Very handsome front line. Morata and Giroud.
Come on,
choice
relax,
of the two.
Jim.
Yeah.
What do you
that's
think
a
to
rough
that beard?
haircut
What's
from Giroud.
Patrick, that beard or Nuno Espirito Santos?
Oh, any S's, mate,
mouthful.
any day. The Super Nes. It's fantastic. Giroud's hair has gone horribly wrong.
Didn't he say that if France win the World Cup, that he'd shave his head?
Yeah.
And then that's why he did
Hours
it.
of recovery, though. It'll be gorgeous. But,
Yeah, he's a
yet
very
again
good-looking
before too
man.
long.
I don't know.
Anyway,
It's a bit Ryland.
what do you make of Giroud, Jimmy? Because he seems to have assumed the role as super sub at Chelsea. Yet
Fulham.
again.
Oh, it's goal.
Fulham
Oh,
scores.
sorry to interrupt. Back over to Dave for
Yes,
the goal.
Fulham.
Mitrovic just scored.
The man is literally on fire. Mitrovic, he has popped up with, a lovely goal. Well, I say lovely goal, pretty horrendous defending from Brighton. But he stuck the ball in the back of the net, and it's now 2-0. So I fancy him to go and win that game pretty comfortably now, because Brighton are not really offering much in the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, I think he'll prove somewhat of a bargain at £20 million for Fulham this season.
And he's in my dream team,
Can
so
see
that is
being crucial.
fantastic news.
Oh, yeah, brave shout from you.
Where's the Newcastle
Mitrovic
fan?
and Mane.
Right, so back to Giroud. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on him? How important is he going to be to Chelsea's bid to regain a Champions League spot?
Very important. I think last year when he came in, he was a breath of fresh air. He scored very important goals. I think he is a focal point. I think Hazard and William can play off him because he holds the ball better than Morata. Morata has more depth in his game. He doesn't have that much depth in his game, but you can cross balls now into the box, and he will thrive on those crosses.
Interesting. Dave, we have a
Yes,
handball
there's
and
a penalty
over to you.
at Crystal Palace to Southampton. They are about to step up and potentially make it 2-0. I will about to tell you who is about to take the penalty. I would imagine it is Charlie Austin. He's over the ball. One attacker handball there.
Let's stay
It was
with
a
this
pretty
game then.
sloppy bit of defending, really. He's going to punish him. He stepped up and he's saved another
second penalty of the day.
Yeah, that was a very poor penalty. I feel the first one in the Brighton game, it was a very good save. That was a shocking penalty.
Mark Hughes will be fuming. I think it's been some time since Charlie Austin scored his last goal. He's going through a really bad patch.
But-
Great opportunity there to end it.
It was a very, very poor penalty.
But he hasn't. Going back to Jimmy's point, Giroud, Rory, has proved at the World Cup he can play very, very well in a 4-3-3. He wasn't prolific at the World Cup and his form did deteriorate a little bit as the tournament went on. But he really enabled Mbappe and Griezmann to... He was the focal point, like you said, and he brought the best out of them.
It makes other players play better around him.
Yeah, absolutely, and what you just said there about him not being prolific is kind of irrelevant, because what he does is he allows other players and your more creative players to get the ball. He creates space. He can be a foil for the likes of Pedro, Hazard, Willian, and if somebody can just do that, if somebody can be almost a sacrificial lamb to allow the brilliance of Eden Hazard to thrive, you're laughing. Like, you are competing for the Premier League, absolutely, if that can happen. And for that reason alone, I think that Olivier Giroud should be starting for Chelsea over Morata.
Interesting. Maybe we should put that out a poll, Dave, on
No,
Twitter.
I'll lose that one.
Get Zach to get that going behind the scenes.
Yes.
Zach is
I'm
answering
just about
all of
to
your
WhatsApp
questions
Zach now, about to
on
WhatsApp him.
YouTube. So get them into him on the chat bar, just to the right of screen or left of screen. I haven't got my bearings.
Doing?
And Chelsea are
Bournemouth is the better team.
inviting pressure here from Bournemouth down
is
their
great.
left-hand
So
side.
slack. It's so pointless, that.
Sorry, who was guilty of that?
The keeper, really, it was a bit of a shambles at the back, all in. But then the keeper is obviously, I know it's the ethos, but rather than going long looking for Giroud, trying to just move the game further up the pitch, he's tried to play a first-time ball to our right back, and he just knocked it straight out of play. It's ridiculous. So frustrating.
Kepa, of course, brought in because distribution is strong, but you know you do take those risks, don't you?
Oh,
You
here
play
comes the
that
long
system.
throw.
And
That liquid
Rory
football.
Delap
Go on.
is back in spirit, if not body.
Brilliant.
Bournemouth been okay, been positive at the start of the second half.
Yeah, they've
So
been
we might see
playing
some changes sooner rather than later.
I think Pedro is coming in.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
Or he's just got.
Right.
Has he just come in yet?
or is he coming? Well, we've seen Morata's already been swapped out, haven't we?
chances galore at the moment.
Sarri definitely being progressive on that front. Dave, over to you for some highlights of the action.
Saints and Mars
There
on
was the
top.
Southampton players just hit the bar. Lovely whip ball to the far post. The winger has taken a shot. Decent save. It's come back out, and the striker has actually hit the post when he probably should have scored, to be honest. Oh no, it's a pretty decent chance. There was a defender putting him under a lot of pressure. Yeah, and also Everton almost just scored. But I was watching the Crystal Palace game. Yeah.
El Yunusi causing havoc down that left
Multitask.
wing for
Come on.
Southampton. Talking of wingers causing havoc, Pedro is on now and he's on the ball for Chelsea, just giving it away. But Iman Alonso picks it up in central midfield, of course. That's where he is.
Goal
This is Mateo
for
Kovacic.
Brighton. Sorry.
Oh, it's all kicking off back to you, David.
Yes,
Glenn Murray.
Glenn Ross.
This is what I call this. I will call this an absolute wonder goal from 2 yards.
An absolute wonder.
Oh, the Glenn Murray special.
Yeah, it's a tap in. But, you know,
They all count, as Jimmy said.
But that's the thing, to see like the striker had to be there to put it in the back of the net. So fair play to Glenn Murray. It's now a 1-1 in that game. No, 2-1. I will check the score in a minute and let you know what it is.
It's 2-1.
A little bit
2-1
suspect goalkeeping there. The goalkeeping
That's a great
situation
run.
quite strange at Fulham because they signed Enrico, didn't they, from Sevilla? Was it Sergio Enrico? I think they signed 2 goalkeepers in this window, and they kind of have 3 goalkeepers with no clear first choice at the moment. So maybe an interesting thing to watch over the course
definitely something to keep an eye
of
on.
the season.
I've actually got a question.
Go on, shoot, David.
It's from YouTube. It's from Craig Turner.
Get in there, Craig.
He wants to know from Jimmy, what was it like to play with Dennis Bergkamp, and what did you learn?
That question's from Dave Jackson.
That question is 100% from Dave.
100%. He's written that himself.
What was Dennis Bergkamp like, Jim? That's what we want to know, you know.
What did he smell like?
Pure class. Pure class. Very quiet in the group. Humor, very dry.
I've heard that.
But very nice, very good. On the pitch, just something different. Very elegant.
Yeah.
Always doing something on his technique. Never power, but had that nasty edge about him as well.
Definitely.
He
little
could kind of always leave in the elbow, like the leg when he
Even that Newcastle goal, everyone always forgets the fact that he sort of wrestles the defender to the
Nikos Davidas out of the way.
Yeah, which is no small thing.
Genius.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to write that one down. Genius, yeah.
Right, Chelsea just had a very good chance there. Giroud flashing a volley past the post. Unlucky from him, seems to have made a positive impact since coming on. Guys, what do you think the Chelsea-Bournemouth score is going to be? Let us know in the comments just to the right. And if if you call it right, Zach Gelab will sort you a prize of some sort. Get on at him in the comments. But Bournemouth back in the Chelsea half, looking lively still.
Go on.
Kante, of course, recovers the ball, spreads it out to this right-hand side. Under a lot of pressure. The Bournemouth press is very active. And Pedro's been caught cold there. Hello.
Didn't have a lot of help.
Ryan Fraser back in the ball. The imp.
Yeah, go
on. That was a vital defensive header from Rudiger. What do you make of Rudiger, Rory? Because I actually think he has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah?
I really like him.
Came into a bit of criticism, didn't he?
I think people were looking to give him some criticism, but I think where he really shone was in the FA Cup final. He was man of the match that day. He really played a brilliant game against Romelu Lukaku, and the passion that he showed that day, he kind of adopted the role of captain. He wasn't the captain, but he was the man geeing everyone up. He was a man with the wild celebrations at the end, and I think that, the debate is Andreas Christensen or David Luiz. It's never Rudiger. It's always Rudiger +1. And I think that's probably the best...
highest compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he is the pure defender. He is the power. He is, that complements one of the two.
Yeah, he's also got a lovely diagonal ball.
Yeah. He's also hard. He's also really hard. And this Chelsea team doesn't seem to have enough of that. Somebody to just go through the back of someone where necessary or whatever. He's the man for that. And he's really like no nonsense, which I think he's probably the only player on the pitch. Like David Luiz is hard, but it doesn't quite work for him in a different way. Yeah. But if you play Barcelona at home, the question I always want to know is who's going to give an elbow to Luis Suarez's ribs at a corner? And the answer to that question is very
Here
important.
comes the inner Chelsea fan. But the
Yeah.
niceness is
Well,
a
no,
facade. Here
But we have just been saying this about Bergkamp,
Yeah,
you know, like, you know, you throw an elbow once, you don't have to do it for the rest of the game.
game
mate.
management, we'll
You
call
know?
it.
It's
Exactly.
being able to look after yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in Sarri's system, he does need a defender. Koulibaly was that guy in Napoli that's confident,
Yeah.
authoritative, able to step out of the fence.
Yes!
Goal.
Pedro.
Oh, yes.
Look at the goal, how good.
Pedro.
Oh, yes.
Pump, pump, pump.
And he snapped the corner flag. That's a yellow card.
Oh, fantastic.
No, it's not.
That's so good.
How many corner flags did you snap
Look,
in your
bang, bang.
Okay, so
And
Pedro.
from who does it come again? From Giroud.
From
He's-
Giroud, absolutely. And do you see what I mean about Pedro with that big goal? You know, I was saying before, he's always one to nick one where it really, really matters. It's so valuable.
Lovely
to have a
turn
player
of
like
direction as well, right? Look at this.
And that is the difference.
One,
Because,
bang.
and that's what Morata needs to do. He needs to score more 1-0s, 1-1s, 2-1s.
Yes, absolutely.
The same for Lukaku. Lukaku doesn't do that enough.
No,
He
you're
doesn't
absolutely
score
right.
those
Everyone loves
critical
Giroud now, he doesn't
goals.
play
Yeah,
for us.
you're
you know?
absolutely right. It's lovely Giroud with an assist as well.
Taking a deflection there,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Let's put it in. the
Giroud is
corner.
occupying about 3 men there.
Yeah.
So like we were saying, create space, even if he doesn't, score,
Exactly.
even if he's not as prolific as he used to be. Okay,
Offside,
Dave, how are the rest of the games going then while we kick back off? with
Wolves
Chelsea?
had a very good chance, but they have
offside,
not scored. West Ham are actually playing all right, but
Roy Hodgson looks annoyed. Why is that? Do you know?
Roy Hodgson's
He's always annoyed, isn't he?
because his team are losing at home, basically.
They're losing to Mark Hughes.
Yeah, so it's still 2-1 to Southampton in that game. It's 2-1 Fulham, and it might be 2-0 Southampton. I don't know. Someone's saying something in my ear.
boy
And
Ryan
Everton,
Sessegnon's coming
it's still 1-1, and it's 0-0 West Ham against Wolves.
Double substitution there, Ryan Sessegnon and he used to play for Celtic. What's his name? Come
Arms-
on.
Who are we talking
No,
about?
not Stuart Armstrong. He plays for Southampton now.
What team are we
Fulham.
talking about?
Double
Oh, right.
substitution in the Fulham
Who
game.
cares about no one who played for Celtic?
Oh,
important.
come on, mate. Totally unnecessary.
Teams
That's
irrelevant.
right. You have looked in depth at Sessegnon's numbers last season. How well
I?
equipped do you think he is to take on this Premier League campaign?
I mean, his numbers looked exceptional in the Championship
Yeah.
at 17-18, which is a tough physical league. And generally speaking, when players are at that stage of their career, they often struggle with the physicality. So the fact that he was able to put up good numbers there, pretty impressive. I think it was something like 0.5 expected goals and assists per game, which is really quite impressive. And if he puts up a similar production, like in a couple of years in the Premier League, then he'll be one of the best players in the lower half of the league. He's got so much time to develop. You know, this is the thing, when you've got a guy who's 18 years old, then you're talking about someone who's 3 to 4 years younger than, say, Dele Alli, who's still a very young player. And if he's getting regular minutes, this is what we were talking about with Tammy Abraham before, if you're getting regular minutes, it's such a boon to your progress. You know, this is the trouble. So many of these players end up not really getting enough time on the pitch. So if Sessegnon's playing regularly in the Premier League at 18, 19 years old, who knows what his ceiling could be?
I think Jukanovic is guarding him somewhat, rotating that position on the left with Vietto. Vietto obviously played very well when he came in on his debut. I think grabbed 2 assists. So it'd be interesting to watch, how he progresses, how many minutes he does clock up, because something like 1,500 would be great.
Well, last season he wasn't getting a lot of shots, but the shots he was getting were incredibly
shots,
high value, you know, like really good chances. If you look at his shot map, there aren't a lot of kind of circles on it, but where they are is pretty much all around the 6-yard area. So what they have is a system that obviously gives him the opportunity to arrive late and get those opportunities. Jukanovic, it's actually remarkable. I mean, we said it before, but now it's even more ridiculous. How has Jukanovic not been picked up by a Premier League club before? It's unbelievable.
I mean, he was at Watford, wasn't he? And things went...
Yeah, he's a very good coach.
Well,
I think
he's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Joka, we used to play
Played
together
Chelsea.
at Chelsea.
What do you make of his progress then at Fulham?
Oh, magnificent! But that is his belief. The way that they are playing, that's what he believes in, and that's, I think, what he thinks that is going to get him to stay in the Premiership. You know, he done it with Watford. Watford didn't really believe in him because they didn't offer him the contract that he thought that he deserved. And he moved on and he went to Fulham, and it took him I think, 2.5 years to get them promoted.
Yeah, crashed out the playoffs the first
Yeah.
season, right? Yeah.
And now he's still staying with his beliefs and bought the players, recruited the players to play the same kind of football that he got promoted with, you know. And about Sessegnon, yeah, he's gradually, you know, giving him more and more. You know, first season he gave him here and there. Second season he gave him more, and in the season that he got promoted, he was
40 plus games.
He was the main man.
Yeah.
I think this year in the Premiership he won't play that much.
Right.
You know, he will play maybe 10, 15 games. I think. You know, look, I don't know how his progression will go. If his progression is blowing up, then he will need to play. But it is a young player that you have to be careful of, you know, and you have to nurture him right. And I think Joka is the best person to do that.
Do you think at some point he's going to be switched from kind of that left wing backing attacking role over to maybe the right into a sort of that Gareth Bale position? Do you think he'll get that freedom as he gets older?
I think he's going to become a left back in a very attacking side.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
You understand why I'm saying that?
Yeah.
Because he has got the
like a wing
capacity.
back.
Yeah, he's got the capacity to go. So even if they play in a 4, the 2 centre halves are staying, but the fullbacks are very, very high, and then the 2 midfielders or the sitting midfielder is going to stay, and he is going to be playing as a kind of not a winger in a way, a false one.
So you'd say he should model his game on someone like an Alaba rather than a Bale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think
Interesting.
he's not going to be a Bale.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think he's going to be more an Alaba or a Sandro of Juventus, something like that. I think in the
Van Bronckhorst.
But he's quicker than Van Bronckhorst. He's more rapid.
When we interviewed him, he
acceleration's
said
unbelievable.
he based a lot of his game, particularly in the early years, on Luke Shaw and Gareth Bale. They were his 2 idols. They were the 2 players he wanted to evolve into, I guess, seeing Gareth Bale.
We forget how good Luke Shaw
eventually go
was
from
at
left back
Southampton.
to a forward.
Yeah.
So maybe
He's
his
coming
mind
back.
is
He's getting back, eh?
Yeah, it looks
Luke
that
Shaw.
way.
Well, yeah.
It was always fitness for him, wasn't it?
Yeah. Here is my man coming
Here comes
on.
Ruben.
Ruben is coming on now. Big change here for Kovacic, but something has just happened in the Wolves-West Ham game, Dave. Finally.
I don't know how Wolves got 1-0 up.
What's happened? Who had the chance?
Wolves, the striker number 9,
Jimenez.
Raul Jimenez.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
The ball, he's just completely fluffed it. I don't know what he's tried to do. I don't know if he's taken his eye off the ball. It actually looked harder to do what he did than to score. I know it's very easy for me to say sitting here. He's still. But
what a foul.
The Wolves should definitely be 1-0 up, but at the moment it's still 0-0.
Was that Cody as well with his shirt tucked in? Love that. Rolling back the years. A couple of substitutions here from Bournemouth who have been penned in for the last 5 minutes since Pedros came on.
And also, we did the poll, Giroud or Morata. Giroud is winning 61%.
Wow. That is pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
A lot of Chelsea fans sharing your sentiments there, Rory. So Jordan Ibe has entered the fray. Bought for £15 million a couple of years ago now. Have you got any particular thoughts on Jordan Ibe and his progression?
Sorry?
Jordan Ibe has just come on for Bournemouth.
Jordan Ibe.
Obviously not, then. Obviously
that
not.
says it all.
No.
Let's move on from Jordan Ibe.
No. He has not fulfilled his potential. Even when he was at Liverpool, you know, not fulfilled his potential. Seen him a lot when he got loaned out, when he was at Liverpool, at Derby, and didn't really do enough for me. You know, and that's the same at Bournemouth. He doesn't do enough with what he's got. Yeah, and he's got a lot.
I mean, I did want to tie that in with his spell at Derby. So when you're a manager at QPR, what qualities do you look for in a young Premier League prodigious talent? Which qualities translate? Which qualities translate well in the Championship? Who are you looking to procure?
Somebody who's got a lot of ability, but they have to be hungry.
Okay.
They have to.
So mentally more than anything.
They cannot look down or coming down a division and thinking that they are better than what they are. You know,
Mason Mount faring very well at Derby on loan from Chelsea. Case in point.
It's somebody who has to come and want to improve themselves and really want to work and see it as I need games and getting better and understanding football and making the difference. You know.
So just the appetite more than anything.
Yeah, you know that these youngsters nowadays, when they come from the Premier League, they have got talent. They have got talent. It's the hunger that at times keeps them back.
Okay, some of them maybe a little bit entitled then, coming from big clubs, comfortable environments.
Yeah, it might be that it might be they haven't suffered really yet, you know. And at times you see when people are suffering, there's where you see the real them, you know.
The real ballers.
Yeah.
So
the talent alone isn't
enough?
enough.
No.
It isn't enough. I remember at Chelsea a few years ago, we had a player called Josh McEachran, and it was all about him. Like the whole youth setup.
He's at Brentford now.
Yeah, it was all about him.
Doing well at Brentford.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, there was talk. He was meant to be captain England. You
Yeah,
know, it was that level.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
Ruben Loftus there, shifting away from a couple of players.
Score, man.
Promising position
It's a
there
lot of
from
pressure for
Pedro.
him. Like Michael Johnson at Man City.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah.
that was he fell off the cliff,
That is
didn't
what
he?
Loftus-Cheek gives you.
Yeah.
From defence to attack.
Quick transition.
Oh,
Yeah.
so quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So quick.
It's so refreshing to see somebody play that central midfield position and just pick the ball up in his own half and just drive.
Yeah, it's just that impetus, isn't it?
It's just
Yeah.
driving. And I think it's the worst nightmare for a defender, isn't it? To see somebody
Good football.
running at the ball, running with the ball.
Bournemouth
like
is a
that.
good team, eh?
Yeah,
Bournemouth
they
plays.
knock it around.
Chelsea is not lucky, but they've been in a game today.
And that was well marshalled there by Rudiger. Because I've got to say, a couple of the back forwards switched off there. Decent little counter-attacking move by Bournemouth. Chelsea have it in their half, though. Jorginho not being as omnipotent in this game, maybe because we've been chatting, as he has been prior. Lovely little layoff from Hazard there. Marcus Alonso chipping it into the box. Back to the Bournemouth keeper. Dave, do we have any more questions from the Football Daily Soccer AM fans at large?
We do, but there's a penalty at Fulham.
Another one?
Has, it was such a silly thing to do. The ball's come out of the air. He's tried to control it with his chest. It's just hit his arm.
Hero to zero.
It's so silly. It was so silly for him to do.
2-0 to 2-2.
So the penalty is to Brighton. I'll let
Well, you said Brighton definitely deserved to get something out of this game.
Yes.
Dave Jackson's called it.
So it's the man, Glenn Murray. He's about to step up. Will he score? Guys, will he score?
Yeah, he'll score.
Yeah?
I'm
He will
entranced
score.
now. I was looking at his
Left side
hairline.
of the goalkeeper.
That was a... Yeah. And he
Yes,
scores.
Glenn.
Great penalty. That is how you take a penalty. We've had 2 missed penalties today, but that is how you take
Best
one.
pen of the day.
Good penalty. That's the second goal of the game for Glenn Murray.
34 years old and still performing very well in the Premier League. Fair play to Glenn Murray.
Mitrovic, what a plonker.
What a plonker.
What did he do?
Silly.
Okay,
So questions from Soccer AM's YouTube, on the Soccer AM YouTube channel is, we kind of talked about him a little bit. Will Jose get the boot?
For me, he's gone.
Really?
Yeah, for me, he's gone. I can't see. The only thing keeping him in a job for me is finding the right replacement. I don't think it's him being kept in a job. I think it's, can you get Zidane? Can you get Conte? Rather than let's keep Mourinho.
Conte would be great.
Conte would be great.
Conte would be great. Like, not stylistically.
Oh, Chelsea, another goal for Chelsea. Eden Hazard arriving there. Whoever put him in, lovely little
Fantastic.
reverse ball, potentially.
Just annoyed me.
That's really good news.
So you think, I mean, Zidane is the one who's has been much touted to replace Mourinho. But you think Conte would be better fit, yeah?
I think, look, I think Antonio
Why would
Conte,
you think that Conte would be a better fit? I don't understand
I
that.
think that Conte's a fantastic manager. I think he's a natural winner, and I think what he achieved at Chelsea was outrageously good. He was there for 2 full seasons. We won the league and the cup, and people somehow have the audacity to say that he wasn't a success. It was incredibly good, and I think history will be really kind to Antonio Conte at Chelsea.
Just briefly describe the goal for me, Rory, because that was your boy Marcus Alonso popping up in the box.
it was a dazzling brilliance.
You need to ask Patrick that,
of
actually.
Eden Hazard. Yeah.
Lethal.
It was outrageously good for Eden Hazard. Beautiful link-up play with Marcus Alonso. Yet another contribution. He's now contributed, 6 times to goals this season?
10 goals that you've scored.
6 times to 10 goals.
Contributed to a lot of the ones you've conceded.
Unreal.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek there, lovely out to Eden Hazard.
Beautiful finish.
Oh,
beautiful
Begovic.
finish from Eden Eden
A
Hazard.
gift to his old club.
Oh. Oh, he should
I
have
must
put a
say,
shot.
this is looking a lot more fluid now with Ruben Loftus-Cheek on.
It really is.
Jimmy, you called it.
Yeah, look, obviously the game is open now, so it's a little bit easier for him to come in.
Right, yeah.
And the spaces are there now. But he's a talent. He's a talent and he's a force. And you know, he's different than the other three. You know, the other three are small, nippy. You know, he's
not
a little
someone-
bit bigger. He's a little bit more powerful, and they can do with that power, I think.
He's not someone you want to face in the last stages of the game when you've been kind of pressing as much as Bournemouth have.
Yeah.
Oh, they imagine tiring as a midfielder and then facing the looming figure of Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
But Chelsea playing some really nice stuff here, eventually knocking it down the line, and it's gone out for a
Oh, that's
throw-in.
a little bit
Did he
dirty.
leave one on him?
A little bit.
I think he might
A
have.
tiny bit. Are we going back to it? No. Lee Mason throw in, and Bournemouth are making a substitute.
Their final one, I think. Who is this person?
I have been thinking the exact same thing for the last 10 seconds.
I knew that. That's what I was actually asking.
Going
you.
through.
It was a test.
The motions.
There's Lerma coming off.
Jefferson Lerma.
Though,
A lot of defensive work from him in
haven't-
this game.
Yeah, exactly. They actually haven't been that porous in this
No,
game.
not at all.
Still conceded twice, but you know that you're playing a very good side away from home.
It's going to be fantastic if Chelsea can hold on to a clean sheet here.
Fulham had a great chance.
It was Ryan Sessegnon. He's beat a couple of players.
Here we go. We're going to relive it now, Dave.
Are you going to relive it? Do you want me to do the
No,
commentary
go for
or
it,
not?
mate. Keep going.
Yeah,
Before
so
he
Ryan
writes it
Sessegnon,
off.
he's beat a couple of players,
Oh.
and he's just not quite
It's under
strong
his
enough
feet,
for the
isn't
finish.
it?
Yeah, not quite strong enough for the
It's,
finish.
it's like it's kind of too central for him.
Yeah.
So he's
Right.
toe punter.
Needed that. That needed to be on his right, didn't it? Turned his man, though, inside out. Right, Ryan Fraser. Was that an opportunity for
Yeah,
Ryan
it was a-
Fraser?
it was a
Back
really
to
well-worked
the
move.
feature game.
Yeah. It's a really well-worked move from Bournemouth, and we got caught out at the back again, and we just got away with it, really. It was just a bit of luck.
He's onside there,
Yeah,
surely.
they're queuing up, really. And a slightly better ball across would have easily been turned in. We got very lucky. And this is the problem with this system, isn't it? It's so beautiful to watch going forward, but every time somebody attacks, they look like they could score. Like that game against Arsenal that we won, they could have had 5 in the first half.
That was havoc.
Havoc.
That game.
It leaves you open at times when you lose the ball.
Yes.
When you lose the ball, and that is where they need to, they need to improve.
Yes.
You a fan of this system, Jimmy? Would
Oh,
you
I love
prefer
it.
this to Conte's brand? I mean, more pragmatic but winning style of football.
I prefer this kind of football.
I mean, of course. Why ask that? You're Dutch.
Yeah.
You know,
Purist.
if I have the tools and the players, that's the kind of football I would like to play.
Okay.
You know?
So you'd use
So-
what Sarri as the kind of the barometer.
Well, if you look at Sarri, he's quite similar to Pepe. He's quite similar to the Dutch way. He's quite
Yeah.
similar to, Pochettino, Bielsa, But then they tweak it to their own. Oh, that's unlucky. Then they tweak it to their own way. You know.
And little variations on it. What do you think to Bielsa at Leeds? That's fascinating, isn't it? And they've made a great start, and they've seems to have embraced him as a club, as a city.
I did the game yesterday, Leeds against Borough. Leeds tried to play out from the back and tried to pass, and Borough came and
Who did you
made
want to
it.
win that?
Pulis and Bielsa, that's a
and
meeting
made-
of styles.
And it was because it was beautiful to see, and it was good to see Pulis as well, because he stopped them being fluent, and he didn't give one chance away. It's now almost 8 hours that they haven't received a goal against. And that's how you win leagues.
But West
That's how
Brom
you
and
get
Stoke
promotion.
are,
Yeah.
You know,
keeping one eye on him.
it is how it is. You know, he made it very, very difficult. He condensed the space, and Leeds didn't have one chance. You know, but the Leeds have made a magnificent start. If they draw against these kind of teams and they win the others, they're gonna be promoted. You know, so they are going in the right direction.
Very briefly, who else has caught your eye in the Championship then?
Brentford.
Yeah.
I like how Brentford is playing.
They've been on the cusp for a couple of years, haven't they?
Yeah, playing really good football. and Leeds. I like how Bolton has started, because everybody thought that Bolton was one of the teams that would go down, but they've started really, really well. They're still unbeaten. What is nice to see, you know?
Talking of nice to see, Dave Jackson, what else have we got on the
I've got
the
a
old
question.
comment?
Got a question from Soccer AM's YouTube channel from Ryan O'Sullivan. He's asked me to ask Jimmy if he thinks the Dutch will qualify for the next Euros.
They better do. I hope so. I do think so.
Yeah.
I do think so. I think if it doesn't, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's right.
Especially that Koeman has gone back now. It's another goal.
I was gonna oh, hello.
Another one for Southampton.
There's a goal for Wolves and a goal for Southampton.
Who are we doing first, Davo?
Say
Take
again,
your pick. Who are we doing first?
I think we should go to Wolves. I think Carlos Sanchez has had an absolute nightmare.
Oh,
I'm
Adama
stunned.
Traore.
Yeah.
Is that his first goal for his new club?
Stunned that
First
Carlos
goal ever.
Sanchez is not.
First
been good.
goal ever.
No, it's I think it's second.
But yeah, 15 dribbles a game, but
That is a massive
Did you
3
just
points for
dribble it
Wolves.
in?
that
here we
is.
go. It's
Oh,
playing up there.
see you
by
later.
Strauss. Nice press there from Wolves.
Oh,
Well,
look
that
at him
might be
go!
the
Look at
final
him go!
third.
Oh,
Like a steam train.
What a bloke.
Lovely finish.
Really, really, really,
Near
really good
post
finish.
Adama Traore getting his goal. A lot of people wondering how he'd fare in the Premier League after absolutely ripping it up in the Championship last
dear
season,
me.
completing a lot of dribbles in Tony Pulis's very defensively minded side.
And then also in the Crystal Palace Southampton game, Southampton have now put the game to bed, and that is a massive 3 points for Southampton and a massive, or what should be a massive 3 points for Wolves as well.
Really surprised about that, lads, because I thought Palace would fare really well against this sort of side. So impressive against
I
Liverpool.
think the thing is
More
because
comfortable playing on the counter.
Well, there was no Zaha. That's it. It's like, and that I think that basically says it all. If he's not playing, they could be in massive trouble with Crystal Palace. If he's playing, then I think they'll probably stay up quite comfortably. But if he's not, they could be in a massive bit of trouble.
Van Straten, thoughts on Palace?
I still think Palace probably have enough to stay up, and I do like Roy Hodgson. I think Roy Hodgson is a good manager. Like the rudiments of the squad are very, very good. You know, they've got a solid midfield with Milivojevic and now Max Meyer as well. So there's a lot of defensive work in there. The question is, do they have the ball progression without Loftus-Cheek? That could be a little bit of a worry for them, because it's going to put...
Zaha.
Well, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Zaha. You know, last season, because they had Loftus-Cheek towards the end of the year, they were able to play Zaha pretty much up front in a 2 with Benteke. You can't do that if you don't have Loftus-Cheek to get the ball through midfield.
It looks like MacArthur at the start of this season, who's responsible for that.
Well,
And
they can try Meyer at 10 as well.
Yeah, I think he fared pretty well against Liverpool.
The game's
but
finished. The West Ham game's finished. They've lost. So that's 4 games on the
no.
trot. They've lost 0
yeah.
points.
I cannot believe that a midfield with Jack Wilshere and Mark Noble has proved to be porous defensively.
I would love them to go down.
Excuse me? What did you say?
There's not enough defensive work in a midfield that has Mark Noble and Jack Wilshere. I think that's a little bit. I think it's pregnable, is what I'd say. That's
Do you
why
agree
they
with
brought-
that? Jimmy, you're looking a
They
little
don't
bit
really-
puzzled.
You
I'm
need a
trying to
defensive
understand
midfielder.
what he's saying. You know, you think that there has to be more defensive.
Yeah, Jack Wilshere doesn't have good defensive output,
Yeah.
and Mark Noble, I think, doesn't really have the legs to cover.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why they brought
Now
in
I
Carlos
get you.
Sanchez, right?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And there we have it. So the games are wrapping up all over the shop. Apparently, this is West Ham's worst.
Ham's, yeah, it
There
is.
we go, very topical. This is West Ham's worst start to a season in 8 years, despite spending all that money. However, system change into Pellegrini. Have they still got the personnel to enact it this quickly? Very, very debatable. But that's a good win for Chelsea. Rory, are you happy with that?
I'm so happy. Yeah, I think it's just what we needed. I'm as happy as I am with the result and the 3 points. I'm equally happy with a clean sheet.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see us keep a clean sheet against a very strong team who came to play, came to try and win the game, and they've had their moments, Bournemouth, but we were worthy winners.
Nice. Boys, your thoughts on the game? Pat, Jimmy?
I think main man here has spot on. You know, the clean sheet. Yeah, you want to
The
win.
nicest thing that's ever happened to me, by the way. That's the best thing that's ever happened.
I was
Can I take a
waiting
clip
to
of
see
that?
the reaction.
Twitter bio,
God.
main man, 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
Christened by Jimmy.
the clean sheet is so important. You know, that will give the back 5 confidence. You know, it was not an easy game. I think Bournemouth was very close. They gave Chelsea a really, really difficult game, and they are a good side. They are a very good side. I think they can have in maybe one or two areas a little bit more goal scorers, but they're a very good side.
A stark contrast as to how Newcastle set up against Chelsea last week, right? I know the results very similar, and both teams came very close to getting away with something. But let's just have a recap of the other 3 o'clock kickoffs before we get out of here. Dave Jackson.
Yes, Brighton, as Fulham's finished 2-2. There were some very good individual displays in this game. Glenn Murray also getting the 2 goals. Mitrovic, 0-0 after conceding that. But I think a draw was probably fair in that game. The Palace-Southampton game, Southampton were actually fantastic, to be honest with you. They got the goal in the first half, and then they were very kind of like compact. And then they got the late second goal in the game. But Benteke had some chances that he should have got at least one he should have got one, maybe potentially 2. Everton Huddersfield.
Just wrapped up.
I'd say that's probably about a fair result, to be honest, like 1-1.
Brilliant point away from home for Huddersfield.
Yeah, a really good point from Huddersfield.
Really shoring up after poor starts of the season.
It was strange because Everton, they didn't really show enough, particularly being at home. And then obviously Wolves, West Ham, absolutely disastrous day for Wolves, for West Ham, but fair play for Wolves getting a away win in the Premier League.
No less than they've deserved at the start of this season. I'm really looking forward to watching how the rest of their season progresses. Oh, lads.
Can I ask you a question? At what point do you think that...
Of course you can,
at what point,
Rory.
genuinely, I'm just dreaming here now.
polite.
I'm getting a bit carried away with myself. But at what point do Chelsea stop being contenders for top 4? So we played 4, won 4, beaten Arsenal, been to St James's where we don't do well, beaten Bournemouth who are on a good crest of a wave. At what point do we stop talking about Chelsea as contenders for top 4? At what point do you think that we are competing for the league title?
I mean, just given Manchester City and Liverpool's equally as impressive starts and their squad depth and their continuity, I think we're still some way off. I think the fact that Chelsea are being spoken about as strong, even firm contenders for the Champions League accounts for their good start. I think you could quite easily, at the start of the season, having to even breaking that top 4 was a compliment to Sarri and his style of play and the way he's improved certain individuals. So I think still some way off. I think if you could be a title contender next year, that would be very impressive. Yeah. I don't know if you share the same sentiments, Jimmy. Do you think that Chelsea should have bigger aspirations than that?
I think the club always have bigger aspirations. I think if you ask, they will always say, we want to be champions, but you have to be realistic. That's why we are all sitting here saying we don't think that they're going to be champions. But you have to wait. You have to wait until 15, 16 games have been played, and then you have to have that conversation.
It's very unlike in Conte's first year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even more so after finishing 10th. So
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But look, a club like Chelsea always, it doesn't matter what has happened the season before, it always has to try to win the league, So the same with Man United, the same with Liverpool, the same with Tottenham now, and even our good friends Arsenal.
He's trolling you.
He gets a free one. It's fine. It's Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink.
Absolutely. Let's check the accumulator then. How did we fare for everyone that joined in with us? So Jimmy went for a home win. That came in. I went for an away win. I've let down the side. It was 2-2. We're almost there, though. Dave wouldn't have mattered because Huddersfield got a deserved draw when you plumped on Everton. Rory's gone for the home win. Southampton really upsetting the books there by beating Palace at Selhurst. Pato went for the draw. Almost there yet again. So nearly men. That's what we are. Let's have a quick look at the Premier League.
Being very generous there.
I'd say that was dreadful across the board, except from Jimmy. He's the only person who got it right.
Rein it in.
Nearly men.
So Chelsea, second, sitting pretty there. Rory, how does that feel as a
Dropped below the
diehard?
top 10 now.
It feels fantastic.
well, we'll
the
stay.
fact that we're now going into an international break and we're joint top of the league, yeah, it's a dream come true. Over the moon.
Look at Watford.
Yeah.
And Watford have-
Garcia's doing a great job at the start of the season. Pereira,
Shout out to us
Decore
from
playing
Well,
well.
Watford look good for that as well. Like, I mean,
What have you been impressed with?
they've been better in attack than I thought. Like, Gracia had a good reputation as a defensive coach, but in attack, it was unsure whether he could get good production out of this team, especially after the loss of Richarlison, who obviously was kind of their chief outlet last season. But Pereira's been excellent. He's been, as you'd expect a player you got from Juventus, he's been very, very good. And I don't know. I don't know that I think if they were to get in the top half, they'd be absolutely delighted. But we were talking about them as potential relegation candidates before the season, so they might have already got themselves out of trouble. You pick up a couple of points you aren't expected to, and you can actually have quite an easy season, relatively speaking.
On the subject of relegation, let's check out the bottom half of the Premier League.
Oh, that's so
Go on,
lovely to
Arsenal.
see.
West Ham, Burnley and Newcastle.
That's quality.
that's
That's
so
like the
good.
away table from last season. Arsenal all the way down there. United below.
Still,
this is
yeah,
great,
just
isn't
some
it?
things about
Okay.
United.
Regardless of how
West Ham bottom. It's amazing, isn't it?
But Arsenal has played Chelsea, Man
And City.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So regardless of how the
But, I mean,
table
it is
is,
funny, though,
is
isn't it?
shaping up, who do we see is going down, chaps? I mean, it's very early to talk about this, but having now at least seen the brand of football everyone is playing and the personnel they've procured over the summer, who are your favourites? Starting with you, Rory.
Cardiff, Huddersfield, and West Ham United.
Nice.
West Ham.
The last one there is more optimism than
I
anything
think
else.
I'm definitely with you on 2 out of 3. What about you, Jim?
I don't think
I'm going to
that.
call you Jim from now on because we're friends now, right?
Yes,
JFH.
JFA.
we are cool. We are cool. I don't think that West Ham will go down.
No,
But we hope, right?
No.
Big time, big time.
I think it will be between. I think it will be difficult for Cardiff. I think because of the investment and the way of play. Even though I would like them to stay in, it's one of my
old clubs.
My old clubs.
That's where you retired, right?
That's where I retired. Yes. And then the other one is Huddersfield. I think they don't score enough goals. They scored one today, but they win games 1-0. Or
Mounier is really going to have to step up this season if they're to do anything.
And when they
right?
get goals against, they struggle. And the third one, I don't know. It's going to be.
That's what makes it exciting, though, right?
It makes it very exciting. It makes it
So
a
there we
good
have it.
premiership.
Dave, I take it we have no final questions from social before we depart because you've shut your laptop and you look like you're on Easy Street now, mate. You're down tools.
You know, I guess my
And we're
final
out of
question is that Jimmy is like, who was the greatest player that you played with then? We kind of asked who was the toughest player, who was the best player you played with.
There was a player at Atletico Madrid called Valaron.
Yeah,
You know him?
Yeah.
Best player ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Bergkamp.
Different. No,
Better for you to play.
in
Why?
the same league.
Wow.
He was skinny like that. He like a piece of. If you look at him,
noodle.
if you look at him, you know, if you look at him, you would not say, "Oh, you are a footballer."
Yeah.
But as soon as he put his jersey and his stuff on and he gets on the pitch, every ball that he gets, he already know what he's going to do and where it's going to go and how he's going to do it. He would never go in a physical battle, because he knew he was going to lose. But he was clever enough not to have to go in that physical battle.
Yeah.
You know, he was a number 10. That year that I scored 24 goals, I think something like 14 assists from him.
0 headers.
He was 0 headers. Yes,
0 headers.
He was one of those players that rather give you the assist than score himself.
Like a sort of
But
like
he-
a Guti,
Yeah,
Guti type
he
person
was
type.
so clever, always in the right space, always between the lines, always, you know, when he used to play a rondo, you know what a rondo is?
Yeah.
In England, they play a rondo to get you in the middle.
Sure.
In Holland and Spain, it is a training session. It is part of the training session, not to go in. The two in the middle, you keep them in as long as possible. He would never go into the middle.
Really?
He would never go into the middle. He would always have an answer on whatever ball you give him.
Nice.
You know, he was just.
So just that supreme match intelligence.
Yeah.
Quality.
It's a good answer.
Yeah. Well, nice. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
Thank you for
Everyone's
having
a
me.
little bit mesmerising. Well, tell us more, Jim. I'm just going to get my pyjamas on. I'll stay here all night. Right, that's it. It's the end of the show. Jimmy, thank you for joining us. Top man.
Thank you.
Boys, Rory, Pato, Jacko, thanks for joining us. I'll see you at work on Monday. Guys, please like and subscribe to Football Daily's social channels, Soccer AMs. It's all good stuff. Let us know how you viewed the show in the comments below. Back in 2 weeks. International break, isn't it? Give us all a week off. Bye-bye.